Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Magic here at Al Central Games. I am Luke Croteau.
I'm Zach Vivian.
We're going to bring you a couple rounds tonight. We have 4 rounds lined up. We're going to start off with a match that's already getting shuffled up right now. This is going to be Cody Blouch against Kale Carr. Cody's going to be on the right side. Not sure what Kale is playing quite yet, but I guess we'll find out as they're getting set up. Just had someone come over and ask if they could start, making sure we were ready. That's a first.
Yeah. Usually they just go.
Yeah, normally they don't ask us. So we're going to put you right over to the feature match area. They're actually rolling. Looks like they might already be set up to go.
Let's see if we can get a glimpse of what Kale's on tonight.
So this is the first week of post Pro Tour format.
Yes.
I see a gold card and a Metalworkers puzzle knot. So
on either hope.
yeah, I'm hoping it looks spicy. We'll see what happens.
Looks interesting. So that Pro Tour, huh?
That Pro Tour, yeah. I'm going to ask you your thoughts first. What do you think, Zach? What do you think about that?
It's tough to say.
So we got a top 8 of 6 Mardu vehicles, 1 Jund Energy, and 1 black green Delirium / Constrictor.
Yeah.
I
I
guess.
think it might be safe to say the cat's not going anywhere at least.
I don't think so.
I don't think we're going to see it leave.
Yeah.
We got an island from Kale and
I think that's the red implement, right? The no cat implement. I don't think cat's going anywhere. I
I
think
don't think so.
I think it proved that it can be beaten. So I don't think we're gonna have to worry about it.
I think we see Mardu Vehicles is going to keep it in check for pretty much the entire life of the party, at least for Cat. So I think that's kind of a given. You're probably safe to build the deck if you haven't yet.
Probably. Oh boy, we're pulling out all the weird ones. I think that's servo schematic, the one that makes a little servo guy. Yeah. So I'm gonna guess that this is like Grix's Tezzeret. That's my guess.
That seems about right.
We're gonna throw it up there, and if I'm wrong, I'll take the heat.
So Cody's on the obviously well-known now Mardu Vehicles plan of play things and swing with them.
Yeah.
Nothing really exciting we're going to see from that side of the table that we haven't seen last weekend.
Looks like he missed a land drop, and he's off a color, so that might hamper him down the road.
I mean, their black's not as crucial, though, to be fair.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at Disintegration, bringing back Scroungers, stuff like that.
Right.
Most of their aggressive pieces are red-white, so being off of black isn't a huge issue, especially this early in the game.
So, I don't know about you, but as a control player, I felt really sad about the PT Top 8. I feel really sad watching Mardu Vehicles right now, much less watching the Top 8.
A lot of people seem to think it wasn't going to be a deck because it lost the best vehicle, and people just replaced it, and it's still a thing.
You know, Heart of Kirin is a hell of a card. Can't block.
Is. I did not expect it to be as good in that deck as it was. I really expected it to flounder just because equip crew 3 or planeswalkers and they don't run a lot. I expected it to kind of not be as good as it apparently is.
So we got a rebuke on the just mentioned Heart of Kirin, and then a tapped
land, and still off of black. So still no Disintegration coming. Can't bring back Scrounger.
Kale's bleeding though. I mean, he's already down to 8. He's got no defense right now. He had to pay a life. For the blue.
I don't know that I mean, if he's on a more control type plan, Scrounger, I don't think is a great card there.
No.
The can't block line's relevant here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's got an implement that can't hit a creature. He's got a servo schematic that does nothing until it's gone.
And you see a Depala. Paula's a nice play here.
That represents lethal if Kale has nothing.
He's got something.
He's got Disintegrate. All right.
Disintegration. All right. That'll get rid of Depala. They'll go to 1.
Swing with all my dudes. Take a whole bunch. Oh, he had to pay a
Oh,
life for the black as
oh,
well.
I
That's
think it's
right.
still lethal, right?
Still lethal. Yeah.
No?
You know what?
Did I miss something?
No.
Yeah, there we go.
It,
Yeah, it's lethal.
Kale might have mistracked his life. He didn't tick his own life die down.
Right,
It's
right.
it's kind of off camera, but he didn't tick his life down when he casted the rebuke. So
Yeah.
that's probably going to
Oops.
explain that one. I mean, he was staring down 7 power already on the board. He wasn't.
He's on the back foot there. And again, I mean, the Scrounger doesn't seem like the greatest plan, honestly.
No.
I think there's better options there.
Yeah.
I think you want something defensive in that slot in the 2-drop. Being able to bring it back, maybe you bring it out of the board against, the grindy matchups where you can keep bringing it back and it's a way to
Yeah.
end the game. But
So we sent a couple guys up to Pittsburgh this weekend, and they're playing black green, and they opted not to play Scrounger
that's fair.
for the reason that I think we all kind of agreed that the green, black, and Mardu matchups would happen much more than the control matchups.
Right.
So we opted to put him in the board instead, which kind of feels like a wasted slot, but not really. Not against the control decks.
It makes sense. And against, I mean, you're going to see there was a Sultai control list. I want to say Todd Stevens was talking about it on his stream last night. He said that's what he would play for Pittsburgh. That was a pretty sweet list. There's the blue-black control with Tower that people were playing.
Right.
There's that kind of stuff. I think against those matches, Scrounger's spectacular.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
just getting a creature back against the decks that are trying to stop you from having a threat, it's fine. But if you're going to see vehicles all week, Scrounger's just not good in that slot.
Yeah, I've been working on a Grixis build that's not Tezzeret or Artifact focus. It's focused just on Dynavolt Tower. So it's just a pure control deck. 4 Dynavolt Towers, 4 Gear Hulks, 26 land, and instants everywhere.
Seems good.
And man, when they play turn 2 Scrounger, I just look at my hand and I'm like, all right, we're in for the long game now, because
That's going to cost me a lot of cards.
yeah, I'm gonna have to use a shock, and then I'm gonna have to waste energy killing this thing over and over and over. I'm not a fan of Scrounger, but he's good. He's good in the matchups where he's useful.
He is. I think he's better out of the board just because I think you expect to see more vehicles, more aggro type matchups where he's just not as good. I think pulling him out of the boards where you want to be. I mean, I think you against the aggro matchups, he's a dead card in game 1. Whereas if you don't have him in game 1 against control, you can still win that
Right,
match. You don't
right.
need him.
Right.
I think it's a much better option pulling him out of the board for a deck like this. I mean, on the other side, vehicles, we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's the same old shtick.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even have black mana and just closed the game.
Didn't
out.
matter.
Didn't matter. Didn't
Yeah.
have a third color. It doesn't matter.
You know, it's funny because like I look at the Pro Tour and I look at the GP metas and I think, okay, well, our Friday Night Magic meta is not going to be like that. Sure, there will be a guy or two that plays, the PT decks, but just last week we had the mono blue storm deck, we had the Mardu deck, we had multiple green black decks and multiple cat decks and 4 color decks. We had a guy doing a Panharmonicon blue white deck, So seeing it in the first round actually just makes me sad because there's a whole bunch of other decks that people are playing around here, and we got Mardu.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, it's just a strong deck.
It is.
You have to
It
be
is.
ready for it.
I mean, it's the fun police, man.
Yeah.
It's that deck. It's that the same thing that you had in Modern, the same thing that you have in Legacy. Can you beat this?
Right.
If not, you're probably not going to do well at those bigger events like a GP or even
Right.
a PPTQ.
Right.
If you can't beat a Mardu vehicles type deck,
Well,
you've got to be able to stand up to them at least.
I think there's something to be said about tailoring your deck, and this is probably a good moment for that. Tailoring your deck for Friday Night Magic versus tailoring your deck for GP Pittsburgh or Pro Tour or whatever.
Absolutely.
There's no way on earth that I would heavily set up my deck to beat Mardu vehicles and green black. Knowing that people play so many different things here, there's no way I would slant my deck. But at the same time, like I said, we sent the guys over to Pittsburgh and we told them, you're going to play Mardu, you're going to play against green black, and you're going to play against cat. We really have to be ready for those 3, and we're not going to worry about the blue-white Panharmonicon or Storm.
Yeah, you're not going to devote sideboard slots. You're not going to waste
No.
main deck space. You're not going to. I mean, if you happen to have a good match against them, you're fine.
Right.
But you're not going to put the time into testing those necessarily. You really want to know how your matchup is against
Yeah.
the big three or the big four, whatever they are.
Without a doubt.
And I mean, I think that's talking about it with when you talk about a pro tour or a GP. I think that's one of the big arguments that you hear a lot from pros with pro tours with respect to when they had modern pro tours was that there's a finite amount of time to test a deck, and if you're a pro and you're bringing a brew, how do you test against the modern metagame right now with 20 viable decks necessarily, or 15, or however many there are? I mean, how do you test against that in the amount of time that you need to? Whereas in standard, you can test against, here's the big three that I expect to find, or here's the big four, and the rest of them, the limited pool of cards means that my deck's going to be okay against the rest of the field, and probably pretty good against what I tested against or what I built it to be. So we saw Cody mulligan a little bit here.
Yeah, I mulled down to 5, played a turn 1 Spire. Of course, it doesn't make any color. Doesn't look like he's doing anything else. Interesting, though, that the Scrounger is still in the deck on the left side, the control deck.
That is very interesting to see. I mean, when you talk about the... got his second land. It's not ideal, though. It's tapped, and it doesn't look like he has any plays right now. I mean... That first land being colorless kind of hurts a bit because all of his 1-drops are white or red.
But Mardu can climb back out of this hole, right? Like,
absolutely.
It can block the Scroungers if it wants. No, it's about to get rebuked.
It gets rebuked on the Scrounger.
Okay.
Might be just enough pressure to take advantage of that mull to 5. I do think the Scrounger staying in's a mistake, though. I think without the mull to 5, I think that's probably...
Yeah.
We're probably not seeing this position, really.
Heart of Kiran.
I think now it might be too much to climb out of, but...
Can't swing with that Heart of Kiran there.
Cannot swing with Heart of Kiran, that is correct. So they'll fix that a little bit.
Cody being a little bit of a gentleman, letting him attack with the Scrounger instead. And what's he got to fear, right? Cody's already lost this game. He feels he's lost this game.
He's pretty much out of it, though. I mean, this game's pretty well over. That lack of a first turn play is pretty rough for vehicles. I mean, they can climb out of it, but if your opponent starts putting pressure on...
Yeah, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 do nothing is not a winning play.
No. Not so much. Let's see. Raven Inspector.
Am I allowed to make this guy?
Can I have him?
How about this guy? Can I make this guy? I feel like Kale's just sitting over there just itching to play something.
Seems like it. I mean, he has Rebuke up, so I think we may see whatever he thinks the best play of the turn is get rebuked. It's kind of that game of, like, do you have a better play?
Right.
Do I want to rebuke this? Do you have something better?
Should I push?
There's nothing that Cody could have played there that he couldn't rebuke successfully.
See, and now Cody is holding up, an invisible rebuke now that he actually has Black Mana online for that heart. So he might not... I don't know what's happening there. Oh, Tezzeret's Touch. That's probably Tezzeret's Touch, right?
Okay.
So 5/5 Vigilant. Sure.
That seems good.
Here's my guys. Do something.
5/5 Flying Vigilance. Right.
Attacking with the servo seems kind of loose, but, as it is.
I think at this point it's not a huge issue. I mean, either the creature... Inspector blocks it just fine, but...
Right, that's what I mean. It's kind of...
else, so, I mean,
well, servo could block at some point. Or hold up for, whatever.
And I think we can see Cody maybe dig himself out of this one, but it's not going to be easy. He really needs an answer to that Heart of Kiran, like, now.
Yeah. So double block the Scrounger. Sure. Take 6. Okay. Deal?
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured we would see that coming shortly.
Not much happening there. Mardu can't take 3 turns off.
No.
Just can't take 3 turns off.
You're the aggro deck, or you're supposed to be. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and ask your opponent, got anything?
Yeah. So, revisiting. You know what? I'm just gonna say it's Grixis aggro, not Tezzeret, because I haven't seen anything but aggressive cards. Right? We've got Servo, we've got Heart of Kieran,
Yeah.
Heart of Kieran, I guess.
Versus vehicles?
Scrounger.
I'm confused on this one actually a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of thinking about what he's
It's
played.
an
He's
aggro
played
type list. It's
he's played Scrounger, Rebuke, Heart,
mean-
Schematic, and
the only other thing I can think of that maybe fits that would be some sort of Grixis Emerge if he tried to bring that back and just didn't see his Emerge stuff. But I mean, seeing the artifacts early on doesn't really lead me down
No.
that path.
Cody reevaluating his sideboard. This doesn't seem like a matchup where Cody has to do much other than not mold a 5.
Yeah, yeah. Really, honestly, um, I mean, there's that old the old article of who's the beatdown, and
Right.
I think Kale correctly chose that I'm just going to be the beatdown in this game because my opponent's on 5 and
Right.
played a colorless land.
Right.
But I think. We were talking about the decision to leave the Scroungers in. I think that's a mistake just based
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
I think he needs to recognize that against Mardu vehicles, you're probably
not the
the
beatdown.
deck.
No.
You want to be the control deck, and Scrounger's not the way to do that, I don't think.
Yeah, and that line of text can't block is just so important.
Absolutely. I mean, not being able to throw that in front of something, you're basically you're taking turn 2 off essentially. You're not defending yourself at all,
Yeah.
and you're not going to win that race at all ever, unless your opponent molds to 5 apparently.
Right. I'm not sure how big we are today. I know we're a little bit light, but still okay. So we have our tables set up in rows of 13. So that would mean we have somewhere between 10 and 13 tables. 20 players ish, not bad.
Not at all.
Especially with a nearby GP happening. Pittsburgh's only a couple hours away. 14 tables? Okay.
We have at least 15.
Oh, 15 tables. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got at least
30 people. Yeah.
or so showing up with a GP in Pittsburgh. That's not bad
It's
at all.
not bad at all.
Have to keep an eye out, maybe get some of them sweet decks on camera.
Hoping.
I'd love to see me some Mono Blue Storm because I definitely just built that. So
I don't know if Tyler's playing it today, and I think he's the only one that had it
I
built.
heard there's 2 in the room.
Really?
Supposedly.
Okay.
That's what I heard. I don't know for sure, but that's what I heard.
Well, let's see. I know.
Maybe there's one more. Maybe I was counted as one of those, but I'm not running it tonight, obviously.
Obviously.
And nobody has my copy of it. But I would love to see
Yeah.
some people get Aetherflux Reservoir out.
Well, if this match ends fairly quickly, we still at the 32-minute mark. We might be able to slide another match over.
Maybe.
Of course, I might have to send you out scouting.
We'll have to
I'm
go
sure
look.
you'll find something good.
Something spicy.
But we'll see what happens. Looks like Kale mold to 6, scrying to the bottom. All right, here we go. This is what Mardu wants to do. Turn 1, make a dude.
Yep. And then the fast lands really just propelled that deck forward,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, the enemy fast lands are so good. Turn 1, make a dude.
I think they've done well in both modern and standard.
Yes, absolutely.
See, now Cody has all his colors. Oh, this is the start that
This
Mardu
is-
wants.
That's just a brutal start right there. I mean, turn 3, he's swinging with Heart of Kieran if he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Kale doing much to come back from this start.
And if all he does is make servo schematic like he's been doing, Heart of Kieran's just going to fly over the top. Doesn't matter.
And does nothing. He might have a removal spell maybe or something. But I'm not seeing this being a huge.
So did he let him resolve the trigger before he decided to shock? Kale's a relatively inexperienced player, so I'm not sure he knows the interaction.
Right, it
Cody-
looks like,
Cody
he's
might be
kind of
letting him.
explaining it to him
Yeah.
how the trigger works.
Right.
So obviously he wants to shock before the trigger, so
Right.
he can't crew. That makes sense. So it looks like Cody kind of explained that to him, and
Yeah.
they came to that agreement that that's what he was doing.
Piano Lord is an interesting one in this deck too.
Mama Nalar showing up.
She makes the requisite power to crew the heart, But her abilities are also no slouch. I mean, she can buff, which is a key one, stopping things from being able to block. Pretty
That's
good when
huge
you
for
pretty good when
aggro
you've just
deck.
got a whole bunch of little ground
Seems
guys.
great. Or
Yeah.
if you wanna tap her and her Thopter and make that hard unblockable.
Yeah.
It seems fine.
See, so here we go. We're making a servo.
Yeah, and that's I
Doesn't
just don't
block
think that's
heart.
good enough.
Doesn't block heart.
I mean, it doesn't really stop much. I mean, the heart's gonna get through and probably get pumped here, maybe, unless he has some other play to throw. But
You know, there is black open on Kale's side. He could be sitting on a fatal push.
it's possible.
Probably the only
I
time
think
that
here it's
this
just gonna be
makes
crew
Yeah.
swing with heart. Seems fine.
take 4. All right. Well,
Yep. Take.
oh, he's
4,
going to pump it
5,
twice.
6. Take 6. All right. Well, that's I mean,
Here's your clock.
can you beat that clock? And servos aren't going to do it.
No.
You have to find some way to either remove that heart or race him.
You know, being Grixis, he does have access to things like disintegration,
Yes.
which
And
is a
fatal
huge one.
push,
Fatal
yes,
push.
and so he has some answers if he finds them or if he has them. I mean, he could the heart being a 3 to crew as well. Throwing down a pair of scroungers, as much as I don't like them, does race heart because
Yeah.
he doesn't have a way to. Cody can't crew it on his own turn, and that is a race. So we do see Tezzeret come down here.
Yeah, I'm curious if he'll make the pedal or if he will minus on Pia. If he minuses on Pia, he's forcing Cody to play more things.
Right. I think minus on Pia
It's
is
probably
way
the
to
best
go here.
tactical play.
I mean, you're forcing him to commit more to the board, or not swing with his heart and only swing for 1.
Right.
Either of those, I think, are fine for Kale. I'm a little confused by his deck, honestly. I mean, the Tezzeret make a little more sense to me, but it's still the Scroungers. It seems almost like a Tezzeret aggro type.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird.
Oh, hey, look. I have a 1 mana 3 power
Hey,
guy.
What do you know? I think we're still going to crew the heart. Seems good.
So do we kill
Swing for
Tezzeret?
5?
I'm imagining we're going to kill Tezzeret and take 1.
I think that's probably the play.
Yeah.
Seems right. You don't want him to start cranking out pedals, having fatal pushes. I mean, fatal push is fine on this board anyway, but
Well, and you don't
pedals
want him
get
to
out of
pick
hand
off your
eventually.
guys either.
Yeah.
You know, -2 kill your guy, -2 kill your guy is not a slouch.
no, not at all.
I do love some Tezzeret, but I think this is the wrong meta for it. We tried a Tezzeret build, and
He's been so hit or miss lately. I mean, people seem to really want to make him work, but he just doesn't really show up to the party. It seems.
there's that Scrounger again. This is going to be a Thopterist, I'm pretty sure.
Right,
This
so
stems the bleeding a little bit.
a little bit.
He gets to at least double chump.
Yeah. You get to chump twice. Again, we see that Scrounger. Still not a huge fan.
No, don't agree with it.
I think there's better options in that slot that you could play. I mean, if you want a 2-drop artifact that's going to do something, I think there's better ways to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, with a lot of the vehicles decks running heart, I mean the tap down of creatures fine in that
yeah, that's the one we played a lot of, Pacification Array.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's
it's
fine.
been an all-star.
if they're going to crew their heart, then you just tap it down. But you
Right.
make that decision, before they declare attackers. You kind of
Well, and one of the other counter synergies that Scrounger has is it's a 2-drop. So you're playing a 2-drop and another 2-drop in Servo Schematic, and, usually these decks play like Metal Spinner Puzzle, not another 2-drop.
Right.
You're really glutted at that, 2-drop
none
spot.
of them are affecting the board.
No,
That's
none
the
of them
big
do
problem.
anything.
So you're stuck with play a 2-drop that's not going to keep me alive,
Right.
Or hold up my mana and hope I can answer what my opponent does. I think you probably want some 1-drops instead, and you want to spread that out a little bit among your curve to be able to keep up with these Mardu vehicle decks.
So it looks like we turned on Needle Spires, crewed the heart with the Toolcraft Exemplar, and now we're getting
swinging
funky.
for a lot.
Yeah, get funky.
It looks like we're swinging for 9 if everything connects.
Yeah, I have to
Which is
imagine.
sweet.
I have to imagine that at least the heart gets blocked.
I would assume. I mean, you can really only chump the Needle Spires with the board he has.
No, he can kill the Needle
He
Spires.
can.
if he chumps the heart and kills the spires, he loses all of his board that can block,
Correct.
except that servo that's
And,
tapped up
and his
top.
opponent loses a Needle Spires, and that's it. And
Looks like Thopter decided not to attack.
okay,
Got scared. A little bit scared.
I think it's fine to leave that home.
I don't know what that block accomplishes.
That saves you. I mean,
Either chump saves you 4 life.
yeah,
I get
both
that.
save you the same thing.
But I would think
It
you're
sounds
better
like
off
it
double
seems like
blocking
he's
it.
explaining it to him. I think if you're gonna block the spires to try and kill it, you block with. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
No. If you're
gonna
blocking
do
the
that,
spire,
throw
you should
the
be
other
killing it.
Thopter in.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, you can. I think maybe the best option there is put both Thopters in front of the spire.
No,
Take 4 from the heart.
no. Then it just kills the Thopters. Doesn't die.
Oh yeah, it is 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 2-1, isn't it?
Yeah. No. I think if you're blocking the spire at all, you're blocking with Thopterist and a Thopter.
Yeah, that makes
You're
sense.
killing the land.
Yeah, I think.
I
think
don't
that's
like
fine.
doing it. I don't think it's worth doing.
No. I think if you're playing out the Thopterist and stuff, you want to just try and race maybe. Hope you draw into creature removal.
Here we go. Getting aggro with our Scrounger. Because
Here comes
that's
in for the beats. I don't
that's
think
all
we're in this
Scrounger
race.
does. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just Scrounger, man?
Just Scrounger. So it looks like we will get in for 3.
Yeah, I'm not
And
sure.
so this turn, I think. I mean, we have a servo. We're going to see double chump again, I guess.
I do see a Disintegration over in Kale's hand.
Okay. So I
So-
think if he can disintegrate the heart here, he may still take 4 from the land, or he can chump the land.
Yeah, I would chump the land. Unless he's building up to something like Demon.
Which
He does
could
have a
be.
little bit of life to work with, so
I mean, he could take the total. It depends. I can't really tell his hand. If he has a disintegration, I mean, you disintegrate the heart. Yeah, that makes sense.
right.
The question, I think, is just whether you chump the land or not.
Yeah, I don't think I do in this case.
Oops.
It looks like he did.
Yeah, it looks like he did chump. I guess it depends. I mean, if you have demon or you're building towards it, then you probably want to keep that artifact on the board. If not, then chumping it and saving some life points is fine. If you're just looking to top deck into something, give yourself an extra turn to do that.
Right. If he had Demon in hand, holding that servo up means he'd be able to play Demon with 2 mana up, so that he could sacrifice the servo
Right. To throw it.
schematic. Yeah. So make a new servo, kill one of your guys. It doesn't look like that's probably what he has. So. Yeah, I'm not sure just what all's in Kale's deck. Here we go.
Okay.
Make a
so we're gonna
5/5.
see a 5/5 flyer. Seems fine. I mean, we may see him turn this around and race back. Just say, I'm going to swing for 8. We're going to see him swing for 8 and hope I don't die.
So I know it sounds a little funky, but I would much rather put that on the servo schematic. I think he's probably leaving up something like Rebuke, but I would have put it on the servo schematic.
Correct.
If my opponent decides to kill my 5/5, I get a 1/1 and I get my schematic back to my hand.
As opposed to just losing it.
Yeah, because that Thopter's not coming back
Yeah,
off the
you can't
touch.
get the Thopter. I mean, you basically invalidated half the card from that.
It's now just a bad and soul artifact.
Correct. Which, I mean, in Soul is a good card, but having a bad version of it's not great.
And he's applying pressure to Cody. I mean, if Cody doesn't do anything, he takes 8, goes to 5. But
But at the same
this is a
time,
Mardu deck.
all he has to do here for Cody is untap and disintegrate the Thopter, and they're right back to where Cody wants to be.
Yep.
So, I mean, he may only be at 5 life, but disintegrate Thopter right back to where he wants to be.
Cody just has a full grip of cards.
Yes, he does. He has a lot to work with. And, I mean, he's got a Thopter that's going to be able to block that 5/5 Thopter. He's got a chump blocker now for the Scrounger if he needs one. I just don't see this going all that well for for Kale.
Cody might be flooded. It does look like he's got a bunch of lands over there.
Yeah, he does. I see at least 3. So maybe he's just flooding out. I think we see a disintegration here. I think that's what he's setting up for. He's got 3. He's got an artifact. So I mean, disintegration's pretty solid here.
It's definitely what he wants to do.
He's swinging, so I mean, he's got to have something. Put your opponent to 7. I think disintegration might just be lethal here. Not
Off of Kale's side, it's definitely lethal.
Off of the other side, it is. But I mean, from Cody's side, if he kills the Thopter next turn, he can, because he'll disintegrate, deal 3. That'll put his opponent to 4. He can chump block the Scrounger and swing back for 4. So I think, I think maybe he's setting up a disintegration for that.
But again, that's the moment where if the Tezzeret's Touch had been put on the servo schematic, there's no way Kale loses just to that line of play.
Yep.
Because he gets another 1/1 servo.
Disintegration.
Yep. Here's the rebuke we expected.
Yep. There's the rebuke, which is fine. I think Cody's still in a fine spot here.
As long as Kale doesn't top deck Disintegration, Disintegration wins Kale the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't look like
doesn't
he
look
did.
like he did. Looks like he's just swinging. So we're gonna see chump. I'm confused.
You should play that before blockers.
Yeah, I think he's maybe confused on the timing on this.
All right, well, Cody going to give it to him. So
looks like he had a grip full of lands.
3 more lands
in hand. That's rough. And another one off the top. It's a little brutal. Never look. You never look.
No. You
don't want to know.
All right, we'll come back over here to the booth. I never look. I never look.
I don't look on mulligans either. You don't want to know.
Yeah.
The right choice is the right choice, in my opinion. So that match, did not go as we expected.
No.
But Mardu flooded. Mardu mauled to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think we see the power of the deck that he drew 9 lands and was still that much into it.
One spell away from winning, really.
He was a disintegration away from winning, or if he had the disintegration, if he'd have played it with the 3 mana up, he just wins there.
Right.
Game 2, he almost dug out of that hole, and he mauled to 5.
Right.
So I think we see some real power in it.
Oh yeah.
And not the way we expect it to go, but that happens sometimes.
Yeah. Guys are sideboarding off camera right now. Cody brought in Fragmentizes and Release the Gremlins. I don't know about you. I love me some Release the Gremlins.
Yes, I saw your commentary.
So I got to play last week, and I got to play Grixis. And round 1, I went against, I think it was a green-white tokens deck. And he had 2 artifacts out, and I made sure to let the Gremlins loose. And, oh man, is that just the best feeling in the world. Release the Gremlins feels so good.
He poured in pushes and shocks, it looks like.
Yeah, so not main deck. Yeah.
I'm very confused by this list. I guess it's an aggro list, but it just seems so like the servos and the Tezzerats don't seem like aggro cards to me.
It definitely felt like a mishmash.
It felt like kind of two decks kind of shuffled together.
Yeah.
It seemed like that.
Yeah. Well, I believe we have about 15 minutes left in the round. So, I don't know if it's going to be worth grabbing another match. We'll go ahead and hunt around.
Scout around and see what we can find for something sweet for round 2.
But I'm pretty sure we might not. In either case, we will definitely be back for round 2. And we'll let you know if we're going to come back for another match pretty shortly. So, again, I'm Luke Rateau, here with Zach Vivian.
And we'll see you shortly.
See you shortly. Surprise! So,
Back.
so we did find a match about to go to Game 3, and I am happy to say we get to see Control this round.
Yes.
So,
Blue-black control and something.
Blue-black Control against something. We didn't get to catch Steven's deck before we came over.
right.
Mardu Vehicles. All right. So,
All right then. Well, let's see some more of that.
and they're going to Game 3, is that correct, Rob? Okay, yeah. So going to Game 3. Tyler's going to be on the
Shuffle right
right
now.
with Blue-black Control. Looks like he's already drawn his opening hand.
Yep.
And Steven, I'm not sure if he's mulliganing or if this is his initial shuffle.
I can't tell.
We kind of caught him just as they were about to start going, so
Right. So,
we're actually going to throw it over.
and let's see what happens here. So more Mardu vehicles to watch.
That surprises me. Steven's been playing black-green for the last couple weeks, so it surprises me to see him just full jump boat over to vehicles.
On, the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing a Pro Tour top 8 like that with 6 copies, you're going to see people jump ship.
It's pretty.
Especially because the deck's cheap.
It's
There's
pretty
not a
revolting
lot.
to me. It's revolting.
Revolting.
Yeah, it's really revolting.
Yeah.
I'm only partially trying to make the pun. I am fairly disgusted when I see a top 8 with 6 copies of the same deck.
I agree. To be fair, I was on Mardu vehicles last night before the Revolt came out. But
Yeah.
I got off of it because I figured it maybe wasn't going to be a deck. I guess I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm on a much better deck now, though. I mean, who wants to kill people with boring old vehicles?
I like to kill people with towers, so I can't say much.
So here are pretty standard openings for what we expect to see from these decks. I would say, land drops from the blue-black control and Heart of Kieran from Mardu vehicles.
Turn 2 Heart's a pretty strong play against any
turn
control
one
deck.
to lead off with, though, which is interesting. But that's a pretty sweet follow-up. That is probably why the Heart is much better than I thought it would be, because I really did not factor in Veteran Motorist or Depala. Depala's
Yeah.
there, too. I mean,
So the other unique thing is that, most of the black decks that it's playing against have Grasp of Darkness, and Motorist plus Heart says no to Grasp of Darkness, which is a big deal.
you got to grasp the Motorist, which just doesn't feel good.
Right. And we look over at Tyler's mana. He's only got 2 mana, which doesn't counter creatures in this format. Surprise. But he's also got a basic island, which does not cast Grasp of Darkness anyway.
So we're going to see an Anticipate. He's going to take 5.
We're going to think about things as we take our lumps in the face. Now, Tyler was pretty sure he was going to get decimated.
Yeah.
So he was on the draw. Whoa, no cutting there, buddy. We're just thinking about things, that's all.
Yeah. We didn't shuffle. Just put some stuff on the bottom that we didn't want. So now we got double black. It
Yep.
turns on a lot more. Murder
Yeah.
is on.
Yeah.
I think we may see something like that this turn.
And he's probably just hoping to negate a Gideon and fatal push your Heart of Kieran, and that's a perfectly fine sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Steven is really hoping to play another dude to crew Heart with so that he can swing with Motorist. Doesn't look like he's going to take his chances. He's just going to crew and go.
Make his opponent answer. Yep.
Take 5 more. All right.
Uh,
Tyler says okay.
maybe pretty quick.
Tyler's got to have something. He doesn't want to get ground out of this game in 4 turns.
Thraben Inspector. And we're going to see like an end-step murder maybe, leaving up negate. I think that's possible.
Sure.
I mean, you take the 5, but you leave up negate for Gideon, and then you still can get the Heart at the end of the turn.
Well, and he could play something like, Expertise. Yahenni's Expertise.
That's fair.
Kill your Heart right now.
We're going to see
That was Essence Extraction.
Essence Extraction.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kill your Motorist, gain me 3 life.
Seems
You
fine.
can't crew the Heart anymore for the moment.
For the moment. I mean, a Motorist or a Depala means he can, but... Or, like, 3 other creatures in his deck.
Right. any combination of things.
Anything in his deck, just about.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought this would be bad. Apparently, I was wrong. I guess I was too focused on the Planeswalker text, and not on the fact that you just play a ton of creatures that can crew it eventually.
1 drops with 3 power are synergistic with 2 drops that require a crew 3.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Especially if some of those 2 drops with 3 power give +1/+1 while they're crewing. Why not?
1 drops with 3 power, still good. Just in.
This just in. Oh, look at
hey,
look at that guy.
Well, I can't attack this turn, but hey, whatever.
Well, he can crew, and really that's all that matters. Just
Right.
throw the robot behind the steering wheel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you...
Ooh.
Okay. Well,
Void shattered.
I like it. You see Tyler kind
Nope.
of try and...
Gotcha.
Oh.
Still gonna take 5, sir.
I'd really like to see a fatal push from Tyler.
I would really love to see a fatal
This is
push.
all right, we're done with the early game. I'm going to stabilize, and we're going to go from here.
Oh, he's already got the pen ready. He's not doing anything.
He is not fatal pushing when he
No.
picks up his pen.
All right. Well,
That'll be 6 more. That'll put him to 7.
you know, I was happy to see this match because I knew Tyler was on control, and I thought, yay, control on camera. Mardu vehicles.
Yeah. It's a deck.
Yeah, that's what you can say about it.
I mean, there's a reason you can see from these last 2 matches, especially from this, why it's keeping Copycat in check.
Oh yeah.
Especially the Jeskai versions, especially the do nothing. I mean, the green version, at least they have something to throw on the board. The Jeskai version, they're not doing anything for the first 3 turns, and by the time they do, you have a Motorist, a Heart of Kirin, and a 3/2 First Striker.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, you know, I mean, that's why you play these fun police decks, right? You get under everything. Everybody wants to cast 7 and 8 drops, and play their planeswalkers.
Play the 4-color deck that might not
Yeah.
hit mana and stumble.
Yeah,
And-
but when the guy is putting out 1 mana 3/2s and 2 mana 3/2s that don't die and 3 mana, creature land guys, just
2 mana 4/4 Vigilance. They're
you
good
just
enough.
yeah.
You're basically you're good enough against the decks when they play the way they're supposed to.
Right.
And if they ever stumble, you're just way ahead. There's no really coming back from such.
Now this feels bad as a control
Yes,
player.
That feels awful. And you're really, I mean, he's spending the whole time just fighting over, trying to stop Heart from being crewed, and his opponent, you got to have the instant speed removal. The sorcery speed's not quite good. I mean, that being sorcery speed cost him 6 life.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
And now if he doesn't have a counterspell for whatever the creature coming up next, spoiler alert, he won't. There aren't 2 mana creature counterspells in standard right now.
So, I mean, this
It's getting
creature-
crewed again.
There it goes. We're going to crew again. We're going to swing for 6 more, put you to 1. And Shock just finishes the game if he has it.
Oh, we're gonna play Gideon.
That seems good.
Oh,
And that's
well,
the game.
if he ultimates it, the game is over.
He ultimates and swings for the win. There's no answers his opponent can have, is there? with
Disperse. He could play disperse.
Unsubstantiate.
Unsubstantiate.
There we go. We got it.
Nope. No
He'll play
ultimate.
it safe and get the Night Ally. It's fine. I mean, it's not.
Sure.
Your opponent's on the back foot. You're all right. Not spectacular though.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't swing with the.
No,
either of
he's
those.
crewing.
Oh,
he's
he's
crewing.
crewing, okay.
Yeah. I think Tyler's actually taking the moment to teach him that you don't actually have to tap the ally here. Just
Yeah.
just tap the 3/2.
I'm already going to lose this. Just go ahead. Let me show you how this works. There's always the Friday Night Magic, huh? Let me explain your deck to you.
I really want Tyler to play unsubstantiate right now. Just play right now. Right now. Crew.
Mood beginning of comment. He's explaining how it works.
How about isn't there the 2 mana tap some creatures? Isn't that spell in standard right now?
I think there's one. Some
He could play that. He could play that.
version of that card.
Nope, not playing that.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
doesn't seem like that's the thing.
Just taking 5.
We're going to anticipate.
Oh, thinking about it. Do any of these cards beat Gideon plus Heart plus your 3 guys on board?
He might, actually. Amazingly, he did find a Gearhulk.
That doesn't
He's at 2.
do enough.
No, I don't think that's quite enough.
He could Essence Extract. No,
I
because
think expertise doesn't win him the game here anymore. I don't think he has an out.
he could cast Expertise. Well, no, it would have to be Blue Expertise. He could cast Blue Expertise, target Heart and Gideon, and play Yahenni's Expertise off of that. That would get him out of it. That hand won't get him out
I
of it.
don't think that hand gets him out of it even a little bit.
No, I think we're done here.
That is a handful of expensive things that don't win the game.
Yeah.
There's that grasp. Oh, that's kind of curious if he had that from the beginning because it seems like maybe his mana just didn't line up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little rough. I mean, the swinging for 5 every turn is pretty brutal.
Brutal is one word for it.
Yeah. Good.
There,
Is the word.
there was definitely something that happened here, and one player got to play all of his spells and attack, and the other
one
player thought about anticipating things
Yeah.
and didn't
He
anticipate anything.
anticipated a lot. He anticipated many things. None of them happened.
Now personally, I blame Tyler for playing the wrong art on anticipate, because clearly the superior art for anticipate is the Tai Chi woman. You know, the
I
3
disagree.
shadow Tai
I
Chi.
have to disagree.
Ah.
I like Tyler's art.
Well, now we're gonna have to click the stop stream button because
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, it's done. We're
calling it.
done. We're done. Well, we have 3 minutes left in this round. I'm gonna take this guy out back, and
We're going to discuss the anticipates.
yeah, that's
Discuss.
it. Yeah,
Be a
discuss.
discussion.
I know Tai Chi, and you are a guy floating a water bubble. I don't even know what that art's supposed to be.
He's anticipating. He has 3 water bubbles. He's choosing one.
Yeah. In any rate,
We will be back shortly with another match. Maybe we'll get something that's not already vehicles on camera. Let's hope.
yeah. Hopefully, round 2 finds us vehicle-less. In either case, take care, everyone. We'll be back in a little bit. Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Magic here at Owl Central. I am Luke Croteau.
I'm Zach Vivian.
Going to bring you round 2 here in a minute. We've got 2
They're not Mardu vehicles.
non-Mardu Vehicles decks, let's put it that way. We're going to have Tony Manuel on Jeskai Copycat and Tyler Van Blargen on what we are told is a Zombies deck. Now, I'm not sure what direction he's gone with it. I don't know what colors it is. I'm sure there's black.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
He usually plays some sweet decks, though. He's
Yeah.
known kind of to play the brews or the interesting lists as opposed to necessarily the best deck in the meta.
Right.
Which is awesome. I love seeing those decks.
I do too. Looking away from the camera as I set up our stream here. They're making a couple announcements, rolling some dice, getting ready some hands.
Yeah. All the good pregame stuff.
Yeah. So as we were looking around the room at the end of last round, we found 2 mono blue storm guys. We found a couple of black green guys. We found some 4-color copycats.
That's what you expect.
Yeah, just a kind of a mixed meta, like normal. So hopefully we'll be able to pull in one of those storm guys because I know that's one of the decks that Zach wants to put on camera today.
And I built it. I love watching it happen.
It's fun.
Magical.
It's fun.
It's magical.
It does make for very fast rounds or very slow ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're either gonna. I put it as kind of like the combo decks that I play in Modern or have played, where like you're like this round's gonna be over quick, and your opponent's like, oh, that's really cocky, and you're like, no, I lose quickly.
Right.
Like I know when I'm done. If I don't kill you fast enough, you stabilize, the game's
Right.
over, and I know it.
Right.
I put it as similar to that. You get to a point, you can draw out of some things, but you get to a point where it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the deck's a lot of fun.
Modern's
play a ton of 0 drops. It's just funny.
Modern's a format we're going to have to talk about today.
Oh, absolutely. There's some interesting
Yeah.
interesting stuff in Modern. I have a new deck might be my favorite deck in a little while, and I think Luke's building it as well, and we might be in love a little bit.
Yeah.
With this deck. It's sweet.
So
And it's an Aether Revolt Superstar.
it is. You got to love when standard cards just sneak right into Modern.
And nobody sees it.
Yeah.
Fatal Push was talked about.
Right. Kind of a given.
Tony on the right here, he's actually, his Modern deck is the Eldritch Evolution Kiki Chord type deck.
Okay.
And I saw him, we were testing a little bit beforehand. He has Renegade Rallier. He got to curve a voice into a Renegade Rallier, which was pretty sweet. That off of Evolution, so he got a token. It was pretty spicy.
That's pretty cool.
As we see kind of the standard openings for these decks. We see I guess I don't know if there's necessarily a standard for zombies, but that's pretty much what they're trying to
Sure.
do every turn. Or every game is their madness outlet into Scrounger. Seems fine.
Now I'm not sure if Tony's updated the deck or not, but he did win our last monthly tournament.
He did.
With this Jeskai deck.
Talking to him between rounds, I'm pretty sure he said the list is the same.
Okay.
So I don't think he's updated it at all. It's a sweet list. I mean, it's right in his wheelhouse too. Knowing him as a player, he loves the control decks. He's played Jeskai control in Modern. He's played the straight blue-white. Right. He's played a lot of the control decks that come through Standard. He really loves I'm just going to make my land drops and then win the game somehow.
So when the monthly came, he was very, very insistent on not playing the copycat combo.
Yes.
And when he showed up in the morning, he sheepishly came over to me and asked if he could borrow my copycat pieces so he could put them in the deck. And then he won the tournament. So now he's just playing them, apparently. He's just there.
He was very much on, I'm going to play Jeskai control.
Right.
I'm not going to play the copycat part of it. I'm just going to control people, win with, Gear Hulks or
Right.
whatever. And then he definitely borrowed the pieces and decided this is probably the best version of this deck.
Yeah.
Which it is. I think it really is. Having that upside win is just, it's too much to ignore.
Yeah.
It's just like Twin. If you're going to, Blue Moon was kind of a deck in Modern when Twin existed, and a lot of people looked at it and went, why don't you just play Twin?
Right.
Yeah, no, you can play Blood Moons in the main, but just play Twin because sometimes you just win. And, it's the same thing we see with this copycat. Jeskai controls just fine, but might as well throw in the copycat pieces and sometimes just win the game.
So this deck right here, the Zombies deck, is functioning like the Vehicles deck. He put down some early beaters. He started chipping away.
He has a pair of Haunted Deads.
There's-
He's got I see a lava axe in there in his hand. Looks like a fiery temper.
Yep.
Maybe he's got hanging out there. So he's got ways to throw some damage around.
Right.
And right now he's just swinging. I mean, he's making his opponent obviously fumigate.
I mean, you got to do what you can.
Yeah. It's not ideal, but it works. I think we're going to see discard draw. Lose one. Let your opponent only gain 1 life off of this, maybe. Is he contemplating maybe shooting his own creature?
That would be funny.
I mean,
not very good, I think.
I don't think it's a good call, but it's possible. It'll stop your opponent from gaining a life, but I don't think it's worth it there.
So he's going to go up to 8, and there's going to be 6 power that jumps out of the graveyard at him, and a fiery temper at his face. So he's dead.
So, I mean, yeah, pretty much.
We're just going through the motions now.
There's Haunted Dead. Get a spirit. Get back Scrounger. And temper you?
Oh, look, I'll 3 you.
Yeah, that seems good.
Oh, the game's over.
Pack it in.
Yeah, we're done.
So, I mean, zombies, it's black-red kind of madness aggro zombies, I guess you could say. I'm interested to see if he's running the madness vampire that everybody likes, which would make sense.
He is. It was in his hand.
Was it?
Yep.
I didn't catch it there. But
Pariah is the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's a sweet card. The deck was around before the bannings. It was
pretty suppressed.
Yeah, definitely. Nowadays, I think it's a little better. I mean, it gets under some of the copycats.
Yeah.
It still runs enough removal to not die to them.
Right. Well, you don't really want to be playing things and having them reflected.
Yeah.
You don't want to discard your cards and have them reflected when you try to bring them back. Speaking of that, how good would the Jeskai deck be if it still had Reflector Mage?
I think we'd be definitely looking at a ban now.
I think so
that's
too.
The case.
Yeah.
I mean, just you have Reflector Mage, you'd have Saheeli make another Reflector Mage.
Yeah.
Copycat, play the cat, blink Reflector Mage. I think the deck would probably be just way.
It'd be pretty good.
It'd be way over the edge.
Yeah.
So I think, in hindsight, that banning makes sense.
Yeah.
It didn't at the
does.
time, but I think it does.
So, as they're sideboarding, let's go back to our modern discussion. So the deck we're really happy about, of course, Eldrazi Tron.
Yes.
Which it's
on
known.
Before. I actually I had it built. I think I finished it like 3 weeks ago. Main deck Chalices. You run Thought Knot Seers, Matter Reshapers, Reality Smasher, and then you run your Tron pieces. You run your Expedition maps, your Tron.
Right.
You run a singleton like Karn, Ulamog. So you basically put pressure on. You have Thought Knot Seers to kind of tear apart their hand.
Right.
And then you have a top end that just, if they somehow survive the onslaught of cheaper Eldrazi, you're like, oh, here's a Karn. Here's an Ulamog now that you've used all your stuff.
Right. Endbringer.
Yeah. Endbringer's insane.
Right.
Todd Stevens last night on stream, though, added some interesting spice to this deck
Yeah.
that I'm in love with.
So I told Zach about it a little bit ago. It was probably 2 or 3 days ago. I asked him what he thought of putting Walking Ballista into the deck.
And my answer was, I don't know what to cut.
Right. So I'm looking around last night, and I see Todd Stevens streaming, and he said his stream title was Eldrazi Tron with Walking Ballista, and I immediately shot a message to Zach. Watch right now. I'm tuning in, and
we watched him go 9-1 because of a punt against Burn.
Because of a punt,
he cut the Chalices.
Yeah.
Main, which I very much agree with. He still hasn't boarded. Very much agree with, because Ballista's just better on turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Getting that 1/1 that can just ping off a creature. I mean, Infect has blighted agents. Delver's a thing. I mean, it's so good. And watching him last night, I mean, he beat Ponza, which he should not, but he did. I actually have adjusted those slightly based on stuff he was talking about. He was running a Kozilek, not great.
Right.
But we added Basilisk Collar.
Basilisk Collar, yeah.
With 3 Endbringers and 4 Walking Ballistas, Basilisk Collar is
really
absurd.
good.
being able to machine gun down a board is
Yeah.
ridiculous in that format.
Yeah, I watched you you play Tony a little bit before F&M started, and I saw
Yes.
play Walking Ballista for 3, play
Play-
Baseless
play
Collar,
Collar
attach,
with Tron on the board.
kill your guys.
Kill 2 of your dudes. Pass the turn to you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't win now, I'm just gonna untap and win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. Crypt Breaker, pretty standard opening here from
Sure. Yeah.
Tyler. That's
Get
what
the
we
engine
expect.
started.
Tony tapped land into
More tapped lands, Evolving Wilds. Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, nothing exciting or unordinary that we didn't expect to see. I'm interested to see how Tony kind of sideboarded. Maybe he brought in some of that stuff. He really just, I think as long as he survives the first, I would say probably 6 turns, he's probably turned the corner enough to. I think if he gets to like Gearhawk time, he's probably
Right.
not terribly off. Or if he can just get a quick combo and his opponent just doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, the name of the game at this point is survive, right? You just got to survive that initial wave
Absolutely.
and just bring it back. Looks like Key to the City.
I've seen a few decks running this. I mean, it's a discard outlet.
So, I look at the zombies deck and I want to play differently. I just want to like make all the zombies I can. And that may be wrong, but I just want to make all this. Why attack for 1 when you could make a zombie?
Yes.
Make a zombie, make a zombie,
Yeah,
make a
I
zombie.
think- I don't know if it's necessarily a trap, but I think I might fall into that trap too of like Crypt Breaker. I just want to pump out more.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe he just doesn't have anything he wants to discard, but I see an amalgam there. I mean, having that in your yard, there is no graveyard hate in this format.
No.
So
No.
anything you dump into the yard is staying there unless you get rid of it
Right.
somehow. It's not like you have to worry about your opponent dropping a Tormod's Crypt,
Right.
dropping a Grafdigger's Cage or a Relic or surgical extraction. None of that stuff exists.
See, and I would imagine this removal spell that's about to come out of Tony. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he's just gonna.
I mean,
Take one.
I think here you kind of want to force that removal spell, right? Queller does not seem great here. Not against the zombies deck. They're not really casting a lot of stuff. Once they get their first, 1 or 2 things on the board, there's not going to be a lot that you can quell. I mean, here we're going to see.
He was gonna surprise block.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Okay.
That seems good. Sure.
I don't know what happened. How did Queller die? Yeah, okay. Whew. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Queller wouldn't die there.
So
So basically, Tony flashed in Queller before blocks. Looks like Tyler made the Crypt Breaker unblockable with Key.
oh,
Right.
Tony, you mean person, you use the smallest possible die for the energy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a Tony thing.
We are working on getting some standard dice for the stream
Yep.
because it's nice to be able to know what's going on in the game.
Would you like to block my 2/2 that comes back over and
Yes.
over and over?
Sure. You want this 3/3? You want to just chump this 3/3 that I can get back anyway?
Glimmer of Genius. So, the Jeskai deck's hoping for a Fumigate, but it still doesn't do too much against.
He just rebuilds his board. He's going to discard.
Yeah, he'll manage to kill the Crypt Breaker and the Neonate because the Dead and the Amalgam are going to come back anyway.
And I mean, he's not even getting any value off the Neonate. He's not getting the life because he's going to sack the Neonate, just draw this card, almost guaranteed on the stack of Fumigate. So, Fumigate's okay. Gains him a couple life. That's about all. You get a Spirit and a Crypt Breaker out of it. Not a great trade.
Well, you don't even get the Spirit; it comes back off the Haunted Dead anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, you get a Crypt Breaker. That's it.
So we're tapping red, white. Ooh, all right.
Ooh, I like that.
Now that I
That's
like.
Sweet. Exile your Amalgam. She's gonna die for that. Maybe. Yeah, most likely.
Now, see, I would have made a zombie there off a Crypt Breaker.
Yeah, I think so.
There's almost no card I could have that would make. Oh, Chandra. All right.
Okay.
I did say almost. Yeah. So now he just kills everything. Kill everything. Yeah. Kill
that.
her. Kill
Sweet.
her.
Kill her.
Kill you.
Yep. Just we'll just
Take this.
no,
Take
not even
that.
gonna hit Nahiri. Oh no, he did.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say not even gonna hit Nahiri. Yep. I think we just wipe your board and we'll start back fresh, I guess.
So, do we have the combo here? That's what Tony's
I mean, your opponent's tapped out. That was the only time, really.
has to have
if
it
you
right now.
If you have it here, you
Play my cat.
play my
Win the
ceiling.
game.
Yep, there it is.
All right. Oops. Oh, jeez.
Oops, I accidentally.
Look at all these.
Yeah, I think Tony was right. You probably shouldn't play that combo. Seems like a bad
Chuck,
choice here.
chalk one more up for the "I told you so" column.
I mean, you have to have exactly. Oh, hey, look, I have exactly combo. That seems good.
There's a part of me that wanted him to be punished for using the tiny die on the energy counter.
There is.
The other part is just the combo. I love combo decks. I don't care what they are. I love combo decks.
I have a soft spot for combo decks.
Yeah.
I mean, I played ad nauseum.
Yeah.
I still have to stop myself every so often from playing Royos Vengeance because I kind of want to.
Right.
I mean, you're talking to somebody whose first legacy deck was Oops All Spells.
My first legacy deck was Storm, and
that makes sense.
and my continual legacy deck that I always end up going back to is Storm, and thanks to Baral, Chief of Compliance, my next modern deck will be
Storm.
Storm. We all thought it was dead when Gitaxian Probe
Yeah, apparently
got
we
the
were wrong.
axe.
You're not going to go with Cheerios?
Oh Lord, no.
You
So-
don't want to zero drop equipment and make a 4/16 paladin?
So I've watched people play that deck on stream, and I don't have anything nice to say about the deck. I don't want to say the things that I feel about that deck right now because it's mean. I hate that deck with a passion, and I don't know what it is. I think it's because Bonesaw and Kathar's Shield are not real Magic cards. They don't.
Yeah, they're modern playable right now.
Oh man.
They are modern playable.
I'm gonna have to take you out back again because this is not going well for us here.
Well, we were just talking earlier because the Eldrazi Tron list runs Chalice, and we noticed that it went from $40 to $80 in
Yeah,
a week's time. Oh, Cheerios is a deck, and Chalice on zero is pretty good.
yeah. I can't get behind a deck. I can't say too much because I did play the Legacy version of Cheerios with all the kobolds, and I hated it back then
Kobolds.
too. I hated it then too. It felt like you weren't actually playing Magic. Now I play Dredge, so I'm well versed in not playing actual Magic, but that's just a little bit too far to the off the Magic scale for me.
Oh man, that 4/16 paladin seems pretty strong.
With Vigilance,
for only like
Yeah.
3 mana.
Yeah, I can't do that.
only gonna win you a lot of
I
games.
can't do it. I just can't do it. I feel the same way about the Kiln Fiend decks, though, too, right? Like, turn 3, I'm going to make this, 28 power, 2 toughness Kiln Fiend. I can't deal with that either. That just bugs me.
And then I'm gonna get lightning bolted out of the game.
Yeah. Looks like we're both going to 6 here.
Yeah,
I think this favors Tyler.
I think so.
He's on the play
Um,
with the small guy deck.
yeah, I think the only way it really hurts him is if he doesn't find. He kind of has to have some sort of removal spell.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he opens a 6 and it's like this hand's really aggressive, but I have no removal and I can't kill him quite fast enough, he might have an issue there.
Looks like Tony really thinking about his hand. Usually that means the hand either only has a couple lands and they're all tapped, or it just doesn't do anything. That was the I'll keep it.
I guess we're gonna try. Yeah, looks like there's a few where I'm thinking he's on the
The tapped very few lands.
tapped lands issue. Yeah. Do I want to be a turn behind for the whole game issue?
Swamp, Crypt Breaker. Well, that's the start that
fine.
Zombies wants. Evolving
Yeah,
Wilds.
Evolving Wilds and Ephemeral. It seems like he's on the tap land.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the place you want to be.
You do not want to spend the entire game a turn behind. That's just not ideal. Not against that start.
No.
Crypt Breaker into Scrounger is not a good place.
You know, now this is the time when you can just sit back and make
Here's
zombies,
a
right?
looks like a Fiery Temper in hand. So he doesn't have red mana though. He does not have any red. And it doesn't look like he has any in hand either. So that's
Well,
not great.
and that's why I said Cryptbreaker is the guy here, right? Because he can untap and make a zombie, and make another zombie next turn and start drawing cards. And Tony's going to have to answer this board, right?
Right.
You know, they do play Radiant Flames here and there, but he's going to have to answer the board. He doesn't have a choice.
I mean, here you're not going to see Radiant Flames till turn 4. Is that too late? I mean, he needs an untapped land now to be able to even Radiant Flames away the board. I see another Crypt Breaker.
Plains sweep you. Oh,
Even
here's the tab lands.
Even doesn't even have to be a Plains to sweep the board, does it? Two's
Not at the
fine.
moment, no.
Two's fine.
All right, so now we're holding back the other Crypt Breaker. Now we've reached the point where we're content to make the zombies.
Yep. Let's make some zombies, draw some cards. And here
That's pretty
he's
good.
actually really good.
That's pretty good.
Now. That's going to take care of Scrounger most likely, I think.
That's what
a
I
tough
would do.
call.
That's what I would
I
do.
mean, I think you exile the Scrounger completely and you just sit there and,
Yep.
and let the Crypt Breakers do their thing, I
Yep.
guess, for the moment. I mean, he's kind of, he can make a zombie here. Or a piglet, as the case may be.
Piglet. Was that Distended Mindbender that just got discarded?
That was.
All right.
So I think Nahiri's going to die. But here's an interesting choice, because if Nahiri dies, we're not drawing any cards.
Yeah, but he can make another zombie anyway. So it's, I mean, he's in the game of, I'm going to put all these things on the board, and you're going to have to answer all my stupid little things.
Right. But I mean, you also run the risk of, do I extend into, looking at his hand, he still hasn't drawn a red land. He still has that Fiery Temper sitting there. Now you're looking at, we see another red card too, and no red lands. And now you're looking at, like, if I start discarding all my cards to make a billion zombies, do I just get Radiant Flames out of this game?
Yeah, but I don't think you can think about that at the moment. Like,
I don't think you can, but it's a little tough.
well, it can't be a Fumigate. There's our expertise. All right.
Ouch.
So we're going to make a zombie. And then we're going to see if Tony gets something free. Does he get a freebie? Free Glimmer. Normal size die.
Normal size die.
Yeah, it bounces him to hand. So we replayed Scrounger we replayed a Crypt Breaker, played a Scrounger.
And I mean, I keep saying it, but missing red mana here is a little rough. I don't know if that's going to be quite fast enough. I mean, Tony's now up to the point where he's not really behind as much. He's got plays. He's not dying right now.
He's at 8.
He is at 8. But, I mean, we're at 6 mana now. He's holding mana up. He might have stabilized here.
It's very possible.
I mean, as nice as they are, a pair of Crypt Breakers just aren't cutting it right now.
Well, don't forget that pig's actually a zombie, so we can draw cards now.
He can. It looks like he is.
Now I would have,
There's a red land finally.
I'm pretty sure I would have made a zombie off a Crypt Breaker and then used that one to draw the card.
Yeah,
but
that makes
you know, at this point, it's quibbling.
Got a key to the city. That's gonna. You see a glimmer here from Tony. It looks like he's just looking for the combo. Opponent's tapped out. If he has the combo here, he wins.
I feel like I'm on
Do you
Family
get-
Feud.
Do you, even if you don't have it, do you say to your opponent at the end step, "Are you tapped out?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, you do. You do for max tilt.
Did you tap out?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. There's a fumigate. That's gonna wipe that board away.
And now the
so
game is stabilized.
Now the game is stabilized.
It's over.
He's gained enough life. His opponent's only things in hand are really a couple burn spells that he can't really do much with.
There's a Scrounger.
I mean,
Doesn't do a lot.
No. Looks like what he's got a shock, fiery temper and amalgam.
There's that poor Anticipate art again.
It's the best art.
Worst art 2017.
I don't know about that. There's some worse arts.
Have you seen the new shock in foil?
I have not.
So I'm a big fan of foils in Kaladesh block. All of the little filigree, the gold and the goggles and everything just all lights up, and it looks gorgeous. Like if you see Kaladesh foils, they all look gorgeous because of all that little gold everywhere. So a friend gave me a foil shock, and it's the only foil in my deck right now, and I'm playing it because it just looks so gorgeous.
They do look very nice. So I'm on the fence. I'm building Legacy Reanimator, and I need Lotus Petals.
Okay.
So I'm on the fence.
No, you get the masterpiece ones. It's not even a thought.
No, man.
No, it's not even a thought.
That art, though.
It's not even a thought.
Art, though.
That border, the shine of the. Oh,
I already got the Chrome Moxus. Those are spectacular.
The masterpiece ones.
Of course.
Yeah, see, that's why you get the Lotus Petals. You got to match.
petals?
It's a family. It's a family.
I don't know, man. I'm
it's
here
family.
to tilt people. You know what I do with my lands. I'm a huge proponent. For those who don't know, anytime I play Onslaught fetches, there are 4 versions of them in foil.
Yeah.
So anytime it's a playset, the plan is one of each.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person, aren't I?
I can't say too much because for many years I would play Burn, and I would find every different variation of white bordered mountains. Up to and going so far as to, I think I've mentioned on stream previously, I bought an alternate 4th edition one.
Ooh.
I bought Portal 3 Kingdoms.
Nice.
I had one of every different type of white bordered
How
basic
ugly
mountain.
can it get?
Oh, it was beautiful to me because I would play them and my opponents would go, "Don't you know that you're supposed to play the same art? Then I don't know what you have." And I'd go,
I have mountains.
"I'm playing burn spells. What does it matter?" Bolt, you idiot, Like,
So I got to ask, if you're playing Blood Moon or Choke, white border?
yeah, absolutely. You go
If
for
you're gonna
max
lock them
tilt.
out of the
Yeah.
game, it's got to be ugly.
Yeah. In fact, for a while, I really contemplated. I used to play Blue Tron in Modern.
Okay.
Back when Modern really kind of first started, I played Blue Tron, and I white bordered my Antiquities Tron pieces
Oh.
because the deeper color of the art went well with the white border. I'm that kind of monster.
I've seen people white border decks. I saw somebody who played Tron who got white bordered pieces and highlighted them. That was it. The pink border. Mm-hmm. That was interesting. A little tilting.
So
we're
we saw.
seeing the alternate cat win plan, which is swing with my lands.
So we just saw a Blessed Alliance, and that's always a great card, but not against things that just keep coming back.
Correct. I mean, he did stabilize, but Tony's still not out of this one.
No.
He's not out of danger yet. I mean, his opponent's got 6 points swinging. All he's got is really land.
I do see a cat in Tony's hand.
He can trade off his lands for things that come back from the graveyard. That doesn't seem great.
His life
Opponent is
totals.
at 11. Life totals do matter right now. I think we see a cat probably get landed here. Oh, he's got a Chandra. That's brutal.
I don't know if that matters.
I mean, it lets him dig. At worst, it's going to let him dig for a piece. He can dig, play a cat, dig again. He can kill both creatures right now if he wants to.
Looks like he plussed made mana.
That seems fine. He can plus make mana, blink it, dig if he wants. I think I'd probably do that in the opposite and dig first. But if you think your opponent might have burn spells, which his opponent does, that's probably fine. You're not letting your Chandra get low enough to get hurt.
Yeah, I
don't know.
He's got one card in his hand. He's facing down a really bad board.
Digging for a cat. He really needs that cat right now, and that's
Discard this amalgam. Bring back my scrap heap scrounger and my
He
amalgam.
needs a Sahelian. I think this one's over now. I don't think he gets out of this. That's too much.
Is there a fog effect in standard right now?
There's a couple, I believe.
In white?
In white? There's a great one against zombies. Prevent all non-human damage.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's a disintegration. Uh, Game
This is
over?
long since over.
yeah.
I mean, the 4 creatures by
Oh.
itself was
Ooh.
probably. Ooh. Okay. All right. I think he's still dead here, though, isn't he?
Uh,
He's dead on board.
yes.
There's 6 points that he can't block.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I think you ask your opponent, "Are you swinging at me?"
Here's
No, Chandra.
here's these fiery tempers I still have in case you
In case
you thought you
know,
survived.
didn't die.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see him stabilize there and not actually be able to pull that one out.
Well, Zombies has the very much similar game plan to Mardu, right? Get under the spells, get in as much damage as I can early, and then when you try to do things, we're gonna cast Disintegration, we're gonna cast Shock,
Right.
we're gonna make you answer my 4/4 flyer.
Zombies, I think. I mean, we've seen kind of the green black, and we've seen the. I think zombies right now can outgrind those decks.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
So I mean, Mardu vehicles, if you stand the original onslaught, you can kind of hold it off.
Right.
Zombies, however,
They
we
keep
saw
coming
there,
back.
2 mana brings back 9 power.
Yeah.
And it's tough to fight that off and try and find your pieces and try and put up a defense and an offense
Right.
at the same time. Maybe try and race.
Right.
You can't really do that against
No.
the zombie deck. You can do that against vehicles. You know, once you kind of remove their vehicles, remove their dudes, they're looking at like, oh, here's my 1/2 that gives me a clue. Here's
Right.
my 1/2 that doesn't have anything because I don't have an artifact. Zombies is not so much. I mean,
No.
they're just going to keep coming back with 3 power guys.
Well, and they're just playing the burn spells, right? They're
Yeah,
just playing the fiery tempers and the shocks because they're just good in their deck.
I mean, you have enough madness outlets. You squeeze the damage through. You get to play Chandra. Chandra's sweet.
Chandra's a good one.
I mean, I really like the zombies list. I think if I were building something aggro, I think that's the way I'd go. Besides vehicles, I really like the list. I know in the last format it wasn't quite good enough with Emrakul and so on in the format, but I think now it's really solid.
It seems like it hits a good spot in the metagame right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be a very aggressive deck that can still handle some of the bigger decks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disintegration is a heck of a card right now.
Yeah,
It is.
great.
It has been a really
there's
underrated
reason
card
Mardu
for a while.
Vehicles is Mardu Vehicles.
Yeah.
It was originally red white. And
Yeah.
people realize Disintegration's just too good
Too
not
good.
to have.
Yeah. So I think for the moment we're going to take a break. There's about 20 minutes left in this round. We're going to see if we can get another match on camera.
Yeah, if we
If
catch
possible.
somebody before a game 3, we'll throw them up and have them play on camera. If not, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Yep. Hello and welcome back to Owl Central Games Standard FNM. I'm Luke Croteau.
I'm Zach Vivian.
We're about to bring you round 3 here. So we've got 2 new decks, right? I don't think we've seen either of these decks. Nope, we've seen Blue-Black Control, which I believe is what Jareth is on.
I believe so. We have not seen the other side, though.
On the left side, we'll have Tony Mera. He's on Green-Black Delirium.
Yes.
And on the right side, we'll have Jareth Snyder playing Blue-Black Control. So this looks like it should be an interesting one. This should be a long game.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we have time for another match this round.
No.
Unless something goes horribly wrong for one of these players.
Yeah, it looks like Jareth is mulliganing here. This is one of those matchups where Control actually wants to exist, right? It's really just going to try to kill everything, establish some control, land a 5/6, and kill. And there's not a whole lot that most of the Delirium decks can do about it.
Yeah, we don't really see as much of the recursion anymore out of them. They don't play the grindy long game. They've gone more aggro. We're seeing a lot of them playing like Dryad,
Right.
Grim Flare. You're not seeing we're not seeing the able to recur my Ishkana 60 times until I win
Right.
the game. We're not seeing the grapple with the past multiple times to just win that way. You're seeing more of a straightforward aggro backed up by some removal, backed up by a 5-mana 8/8 Trampler, that kind of fun stuff.
Right.
So fairly standard openings, tapped manland into Evolving Wilds, into another tapped creature land, sack Evolving Land. Exciting first couple turns.
Yeah, usually Green-Black wants to hit a 2-drop.
Yeah, that's a little more surprising, but if he knows what he's playing against, he might be fine with, I'm just going to play these lands and
Right.
I'm fine. Looks like his hand is a little slower to begin with. I thought I saw an Evolving Wilds in there as well, so he might just not have a better choice, too.
Looks like a Verdurous Gearhulk, a Blossoming Defense, a Fatal Push, and a couple more lands. So yeah.
Hand's not spectacular, but, against Control, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Now the Control player did mulligan to 6.
Yes.
And it was very land heavy when I looked over at it.
If you're not missing land drops, you're probably fine with this. You don't want to give them too much footing to establish, but the black-green can play a decent late game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Henny's expertise. It's a pretty dead draw in this matchup.
A little bit. I pay 5 mana to cast a 3-mana spell, I guess.
Forest, go.
So I think next turn we're going to see him run out the Gearhulk, maybe? Hope your opponent doesn't have an answer.
I do see a murder over there.
Do you run it out there, or do you wait till turn 6 and hold up Blossoming Defense?
Can't do any. You can't do nothing forever, right? It looks like that's what he's doing. He's just waiting.
Turn 6, at least you get to keep Blossoming Defense. If they only have one removal spell, you might be all right. But maybe you'll at least get a swing in. Overall, not very exciting to begin with.
No.
Land Go is pretty exciting.
Jace is a good one.
Jace is good, although now, Gearhulk's better. He can't end step, try and kill it, untap, try and kill it.
Well, there are 2 manlands over there, so they can start pressuring the Jace too.
Yeah,
it's only 2 at a time, but
he can animate up those creatures and.
Ooh, that was a Scrap Heap Scrounger, or a Ballista. Nope, that was a Ballista.
Ballista's not a bad draw here. So that card came out of nowhere. Nobody really saw it week 1. You didn't really see much of it, and then people realized it's a great answer to Copycat, and it's a great early or late game draw. Late game landing a Ballista on 4 or 5, sometimes it's just a burn spell.
Right. Here we go. Mega Ballista on 1. Maybe he's thinking about it as he goes. What do you got? What's this guy do? Do I want to go for the?
Of these.
Yeah.
I like the nicely matched Unhinged and Zendikar full arts.
That's what I do, so I think my Grixis deck is playing 4 islands from Ravnica block, 4 mountains from
do you
Zendikar.
prefer the ones like everybody play? Do you try and go for something different? Do you have your own special art you like?
I do try. So there's this very beautiful one from Ravnica block, the original Ravnica block, that if you looked at it, it looked like a waterfall, but there are these kind of like towers on the side. and so the waterfall's kind of cascading over these
Okay,
towers.
yeah.
I really like that art. I think it's beautiful.
For Island, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of original Mirrodin foils.
Okay.
I have an art for each that I really like. I have a whole ton of them sitting at home that I bought for cheap, and I think they look good. I mean, they're not for art, obviously, or any of that, but like the art style was very different. It's very flat, metallic, and it was
Right.
Mirrodin. I'm a big fan of those. They work well, or it varies based on the deck, I guess.
So it
Pretty much always foil though.
looks like we've got a fatal push on Tony's upkeep and a blossoming defense in response.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure this is going to get negated.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Bloop.
There's going to be a negate on the blossoming defense.
No,
Do you
sir.
have another answer?
My push would like to push your ballista
Okay, so
into
we're
a
gonna
hole.
let the negate resolve. Is he going to shoot
To you
sort of
or
to you or to
redirect.
Jace? Let's see. I mean, I think Jace is probably the right answer here, unless you have a way to really
Pressure
stop.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that Jace ultimating.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want any Jace ultimating really.
So Ballista's a funny one. Going back, so when the set came out, I made sure to get here as soon as I could, so that I could buy them at $3 a piece. And I don't regret it because now I've played them in standard. I'll be playing them in modern. They're played in vintage. I think it's safe to assume that at this point they're just a staple.
I think it's a very good card.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one everybody saw when it first was released or when
Right.
it first came out, but the fact that it doesn't cost anything to fling it at things is just really good.
Well, the big comparison right away was to Hangerback Walker,
Right.
which is not a horrible comparison, but I don't think it does it enough justice.
No, I think-
there's a lot of power in being able to add on counters arbitrarily and use counters arbitrarily.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, not having to tap to add the counters is huge because you're not limited per turn. I mean, that's why the Tron deck loves it. You get to a certain point where you're adding 2-3 a turn. That's pretty nuts. Not having to, being able to remove the counters at will, not having to pay for it, as opposed to Hangerback, where
Right.
Hangerback might have seen play in Modern if Exile wasn't a thing.
Right.
The fact that Walking Ballista can kind of get around that and just choose to sacrifice itself and deal the damage still and not get value out of it, even if it gets exiled, is pretty solid.
Right.
I mean, in a format where Kalidas is played, the fact that they drop Kalidas and Ballista can just kill itself and
Right.
still get some value is big. It's definitely a really good card. I'm a huge fan.
Murder the slithery snake.
That snake though.
So that does take the murder out of his hand for the Gear Hulk that'll come down
It's true.
eventually.
I think Tony's playing this fairly well as far as the Gear Hulk, not running it out as early, wear down your opponent's stuff, and then drop that 8/8 that he really can't deal with, hopefully.
Now Jace is just going to go to town, right? Jace is
Yeah,
drawing extra
unfortunately,
cards
that's
every
the
turn.
downside of that plan.
Yeah.
You got to be able to deal with that Jace. I mean, he needs
Well,
something.
and in the long game, all you do is favor the control deck, right? If you're going 20 turns, that's where the control deck wants to be. They're going to have a grip full of cards. You're going to be on, 3 cards, and
And I mean, we still see he's killed a few creatures. We still see a Ruinous Path over there. It looks like is that another removal card next
grasp
to it? I can't
to
tell.
grasp, which can
looks
kill
like.
the Gear Hulk.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. Trigger on the stack, kill it.
there's
No
a
counters for you.
looks like there's a disallow over there on the far right.
Yep. So I mean, he's thrown some threats on the board, tried to sneak some stuff through, and he really hasn't done much.
Yeah.
And this Jace is just we're seeing that in the standard format, at least. Excuse me. Seems like a lot of the card advantage is coming from Planeswalkers. I mean, you have Jace, you had Obnixilis previously. You have even Nahiri being able to not necessarily gain advantage, but
Right.
cycle through for what you need. If those walkers stay on the board and don't get answered, the card advantage they provide or the filtering is absurd.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Looks like Jareth thinking about killing that Quagmire. He lets it hit Jace, lets Tony pass the turn, thinking, okay, well, I'll just do this, and then kills it anyway.
Yeah.
And then he's going to Glimmer to refill.
And I mean that Jace, yeah, you're keeping him off of ultimate, but honestly, I mean, I think here, Jareth's just fine. Just tick up every turn.
Yep.
Get a card. Tick up
Removal
every
spell, removal spell. puts one of the removal spells on the bottom. And that's what black blue is, right? It's removal spells and draws,
And
right?
and yep, little
Draw
bit of
my
counter magic
cards,
to
counter
stop the
them.
things I can't remove.
Yeah.
And remove the rest. And I mean, the removal spells in a lot of cases just as good as counter magic. They're not going to get to use it for anything anyway.
Yep.
So in this case, I think you're just going to see him sit behind this Jace and win on the landslide of card advantage here.
Yeah.
And looking at that hand, grasp, negate, disallow. I don't know that Tony really has a good way through this. So I think you're going to see, here's the Gearhulk. You see him let the counters go on. It's not going to matter. Is that a murder? Yep, murder.
Sure.
I mean, if we see him pitching a removal spell to the bottom, you know he's got enough for whatever he thinks he's going to see.
Tick up, draw a glimmer. Don't, Sure, I'll take a
Make sure I
swamp.
make my land drop.
Yeah.
Don't want to miss those still.
Torrential in hand.
Yeah, I don't really see a way out of this one for Tony. I think he's just
The noose is slowly tightening.
yeah, absolutely. when you're on turn 8, turn 9, resorted to attacking with your Quagfire, you're probably not in a great spot, huh?
Well, and when your opponent is saying, okay, Jace takes 2, what do I care?
Oh, you're
Right.
gonna swing at me? I'm at 20. Okay, whatever. Like, that's even better. Like, there's not a good answer here. We'll just grasp it. Like, there's just not good ways to deal with this. I don't think. There's a blossoming defense. We're gonna see that get countered. I think.
Negate.
Negate.
Yep. And then I'll glimmer.
Dies, and then we'll glimmer at the end of the turn. Pick up whatever I need, and
So this is a good example of the game being over and both players continuing to go,
yes,
right? I mean,
this has been over for a few turns.
yeah.
Now, when you're playing in this match, do you scoop them up yet?
I would be very close. But,
I guess it depends on. I mean, knowing your deck, do you have an out? Do you have something that you can land
no.
or
You-
play? That
because
does-
you
that-
need to
that
draw
does?
and play multiple cards per turn. He's on 5 lands.
Yeah.
He's been losing his lands to removal spells. He's not playing multiple spells a turn.
And I think, I mean, maybe that's the mistake there is not animating those lands to swing. Hope you can get to that point of draw and play multiple things. But even then,
Well, he was really
opponents
hoping those blossoming defenses would carry him through, and they're just not. And
No.
against a deck that is mono removal and counter spells, they're just not going anywhere.
I think sitting there until turn 5, he didn't do anything against a Jace.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough. Here we're going to see Gearhulk go get a removal spell, I guess.
I mean, I would glimmer at this point, right?
No, I think you get the removal, so you
I
don't
was
use
going to push.
Gearhulk.
Sure. Okay.
Or you let the damage, or you're going to let the damage through, one or the other. I mean, Fatal Push is fine here.
Well, he already let it through, so Jace went down again.
Yeah, Jace went down, but I mean, Gearhulk, this game's over.
Oh, yeah. Now we're going to take chunks 5 at a time.
Yep. We're going to end this a little quicker.
Take 5.
And we were talking about last time with the Jeskai Copycat. This is why they play that Copycat.
Right.
Because once you've locked this game down, whether you're Jeskai, whether you're Blue-Black, whether you're Sultai, whatever,
You just
how
need a way
do
to
you
win.
Finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a way to finish it. You can't go to time every round. You can't play the you can't play the old Sphinx's Rev special with Elixir of Immortality and
There we go. There's
have
the
to
scoop
bore
up.
you until the game
And what's funny is, so Jace has been on the table the whole game. Jace is not a win condition. He's one of the few planeswalkers that their ultimate doesn't mean you win.
No.
Right? It means you're
probably
losing
better
slower. Like you're not winning. You're just losing slower. Right?
Absolutely.
His ultimate is, I believe, it's the first spell that your opponent plays. Any opponent plays each turn, counter it. Basically, the Areo ability. So, you're not winning the game, but you're also not letting them cast as many spells.
Yeah, so I mean, you're countering their first spell, but we saw the power of that Jace where you very
Just draw
rarely gonna
cards.
ultimate it.
Yeah,
You're
just draw
gonna
cards.
Sit there every turn and scry one, draw a card, and that's perfectly fine. And I mean, how much damage? It soaked up damage.
Yep.
It soaked up a good 3-4 hits.
Yep.
Uh, and it just found what he needed.
Yeah.
Scry one, draw cards, really good.
Well, it made his opponent use his man lands so that they could die,
Correct.
cutting your opponent off the mana.
It's just a way to, if your opponent can't pressure it, they have to do something.
Right.
They can't just sit there and play the waiting game with you anymore.
Right.
Because you're going to filter to your best hand and just wait. And eventually you're just going to win. They have to do something. And we saw that there where Tony had to run out one creature at a time, try and just get something on the board to put pressure on him, and just couldn't do it.
Right. I'm looking at this matchup, and I don't know how Green Black ever wins against this control decks. It really takes an aggressive start.
I think he needs the aggressive start. He needs to very correctly assume that he is the beatdown deck. He is not the control deck at all. There's no way.
Right.
He has to get creatures on the board early.
Yeah.
You can't just wait till turn 5.
No.
You can't keep. I mean, it sounds like maybe he doesn't know what he's playing. Obviously, game 1, you don't necessarily know what you're playing against. You keep a hand that might be okay. I think that hand was probably a risky keep to begin with. You know, 4 lands, Gearhulk, Blossoming Defense isn't a good start.
No. Well,
you really need something on turn 2.
So Tony is one of the guys out of a batch who about 6 months ago started playing Magic and used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And since that time, he's basically just been playing Blue-White Spirits almost exclusively.
Right.
As the new format came and all of his cards in his deck got banned out, he was trying to find something. He didn't want to play Copycat. He was trying to find some other decks, and he says he's landed on this. He's just gonna, in his words, he's just gonna be a sheep. He just wants to play a good deck, a tier 1 deck, and go with it. So part of that keep might be his inexperience with the deck.
It's entirely possible.
If this is his first week with it, this is only round 3. He's only had, 6 games to deal with at the most,
Absolutely.
right?
And it's entirely possible. And I think that's one of those things, being a newer player, some new players struggle with that. Is this hand good against, being able to look at a hand and decide to mulligan. I know I've seen a lot of newer players that are afraid to mulligan. I don't want to lose a card.
Right.
Or, oh, yeah, well, if I just draw a 2-drop, I'm fine. Or if I just draw, you kind of have to look at that hand and go, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Am I doing anything at all? Because I think when you look at that hand in line with some of the other decks in the format, you're not doing anything against Copycat with that hand.
No.
They're just going to sculpt their hand the way they want. You're going to drop a turn 5 Gearhulk, and they're probably going to combo you out.
Yeah.
Against Mardu vehicles, you're going to be dead before that Gearhulk hits the table.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that experience of not being afraid, especially the first mulligan, not being afraid to just dump that hand back, go, I'm not doing anything till turn 5. That's probably not good enough.
Well, and I was taught many years ago, when you're looking at your 7-card hand and you're deciding, do I really need to mulligan this or not? First, you take away the best card in your hand and you go, how reasonable is this hand? If I drew this same 6 cards without my best card, how is it? And, most of the time it's going to look pretty bad. Then you go the other direction. You take the worst card in your hand and you say, is this a reasonable 6? If I have my best card, is this a reasonable 6? If it is, you're probably supposed to keep it.
Right.
As long as you can cast your spells, you have a clear progression. Those are the kind of hands you keep, but it's an acquired skill. Mulliganing is a very acquired skill.
It is.
You have to have gone through a lot of games, a lot of decks, a lot of matchups,
Absolutely.
before you learn how to mulligan, even
And
reasonably.
like I said, I'm a big fan of what am I going to do?
Right.
Go into it having a plan. If your plan is I'm going to play lands until turn 5 and cast a Gearhulk, probably not where you want to be. You
Right.
probably want to throw that back. If your plan is, turn 1 I'm going to play this, turn 2 I have this 2-drop, turn 3 I can hold up mana for removal. That's a plan
Right.
going into that game. You have to have something. You have
Right.
to be maybe not completely proactive like you see the blue-black control. They're not going to be proactive, but he has a plan going into that game of
Right.
here's the removal I'm going to use if I need to. Here's the lands in the order I want to play them. You got to have an idea of what you're going to do with that hand, and it's got to be something better than wait till turn 5, I think.
So here we see Tony actually playing the game. Turn 1, Oath of Nissa, finding a sneaky snake. Turn 2,
dropping that
play the
snake.
sneaky snake.
And I think we saw in his hand there's a Liliana hiding out in there, so turn 3 we're going to be able to see her come down as long as he has an untapped land.
And that'll be huge. That'll be huge against control.
I mean,
deck.
that takes the game we saw last time and flips it exactly opposite. Now I have the Planeswalker that you cannot let ultimate because you can't win that game. How are you going to deal with it? And we'll see if Jareth has some sort of answer for that. So I think you attack here first. And I think that's just an experience thing of attack, see what my opponent's going to do. Um, if I play the Lily first, obviously I can't Blossoming Defense. So if I attack after that, they have free reign to remove stuff.
Looks like instead he's going to go for Rishkar. Am I allowed to give my creatures +2/+2? Does this happen?
Yes, and that's fine before combat. Put your opponent to the can I do it? Uh, I think that gives you a lot of information there too. If the Rishkar resolves and nothing happens, you're probably
Probably
fair
good for a little
swing
bit.
away.
Yeah.
Your opponent's he's not waiting until after it gets counters to
Right.
deal with it.
So now here's the real big test. We've got 8 power on the board,
I think we swing here,
and see what happens.
see what happens. Don't play a land. See what your opponent does if they think you missed a land drop, if they think you don't have a follow-up, if they just don't want to take 8 damage. See what happens here. I think now Lily's probably a fine play, but if he's trying to finish this game next turn, maybe I can't really tell what's in his hand if he has another threat to land.
I'll be honest, I don't play Lily.
I think it depends on if he has another threat. Honestly.
You don't need another threat. You've got lethal on board right now.
Right. That's fair. I mean, you have to almost expect that your opponent's going to do something.
Sure, but he's also sitting on a Blossoming Defense. So if what he does here is sit back and say, first answer these threats,
Right.
you don't get to do things on my turn. I'm not going to run into your counter spells. I'm not going to run into your removal.
2 basic lands and a Blossoming Defense is not a pretty.
Not a good one.
It happens sometimes. I mean, still got to land out of it, but that's fine.
But this is what I mean when I say I wouldn't have played Nissa, which he didn't.
I think the
you want to
mistake there
sit.
is probably I don't play the land first. Maybe I want an untapped land.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
You wait till after you oath just because it gives you the options.
And see, we saw the blue-black
And again,
control
that's
deck.
experience.
We saw the blue-black control deck do nothing.
Yep.
And
so he has to have something, obviously, or he likely would have just scooped him
well,
up.
he untapped. He drew his card. He said go.
Yep.
So, again, Tony is saying have something or you die. Lethal's on the table.
Swing. I think you just swing here. He does have, it looks like a Gear Hulk in his hand. I don't think you play that pre-combat. I think you just swing.
Yeah,
Make
you
him
just
do
swing.
something,
Okay,
and,
game
scoop
over.
him up. Yep.
And that's exactly what the green-black deck wants. Stumble a little bit. Stumble a little bit.
I think that's exactly how the green-black beats this. Is they're going to put a couple of threats on the board, and they're going to say you have to answer these.
Right.
And then once they start answering them, then you kind of get ahead a little bit.
Right.
You put them kind of on the back foot of I have to answer this. Maybe they're not using the right answer that they want to use. They didn't draw the right answer. They grasp something when they wanted to ruin his path or whatever the case may be. There, standard it doesn't really have as many of the catch-all answers, and I think that's where you kind of exploit that control deck. Is their counter magic. They don't really have a lot of good counter target spell. It's negates, it's dispels.
It's all targeted counters.
It's targeted, or it's situational of some sort, or it's rebuke. The removal is kind of the same. I mean, it's either sorcery speed, or it's creature only, or it's grasp, or
counter
push.
a creature with 2 cost or a 4/4.
And I think that's the big difference. I think part of that is, in standard, that's something you can exploit against the control decks, and I think it makes them weaker. It's why we don't see control the first couple weeks, because people don't really know what balance of what to play. I just think that's how you get around it. Is you play the things and try and make them use the answers they don't want to use.
Right. And you force them to do things.
Yes.
That was Tony that game, the entire game, saying, answer this. Okay, if you don't want to answer it, you're going to die.
Right.
Oop,
right.
You're dead.
Going back to that format I love, it's a very different format. I mean, that is something that with newer players, like for instance Tony, if he takes that step to Modern or Legacy, it's a very different world because you can't just do that.
Right.
In Modern, you have Terminate, Abrupt Decay.
Right.
You have answers that are far superior, and I mean, you move to Legacy, you get Counterspell.
Right.
So you get answers to whatever happens to be the card you have. I mean, it's a very different animal to learn, and you see some of that inexperience come out in some of those older formats where the answers are more universal. The control deck can just kind of sit there.
Right. So we've got an Oath of Nissa.
Oath of Nissa, that's a good start. Can't really be too unhappy about that. We're going to
Rishkar?
get Rishkar.
Mm-hmm.
Seems fine.
Not a lot of the green black decks have many turn one plays. A lot of them are just on Traverse. Some of them are on the Oath. Um, Oath at least replaces itself. It doesn't do anything else in general. It enables Delirium. That's really all it needs to do. We're tapping 2 mana for an
Which is
Advocate.
fine. And, I mean, it's not bad. Oath, I mean, people called it the Green Ponder for a little bit. It's not a bad card.
No.
It saw less play last format because of, Vessel of Nascency.
Right.
And so on, just being slightly better.
Right.
Traverse was better because Delirium was very easy to hit. But I think now it's fine. Ballista on 1 here.
Looks like
You
Tony
like that?
Tony might miss his land drop here, and that might be why he played it.
That might be. That makes sense. I don't know if I like playing the Ballista out here. I guess, I mean, if you want to have a threat on the board, it's fine, but it's not ideal.
Well, if you're missing your third land drop and you don't have anything better to do, better to use the mana than to not.
Makes sense. I do see here the Sylvan Advocate's interesting. A lot of decks have moved away from that.
Well, so it all goes back to that. A little bit earlier I mentioned in our discussion that we decided to stop playing Scrap Heap Scrounger in the main deck. Along with that, we also decided to stop playing Grimflayer. Mm-hmm. And our logic was, you're looking at a field full of red decks that you've got to beat. And they all play Shock, because they all want to beat Cat Combo.
Makes sense.
Cat Combo plays Shock, because they want to beat Cat Combo. Grimflayer dies to Shock. You know what doesn't? Sylvan Advocate. You know what else doesn't? Gifted Aetherborn.
Okay.
Both of those guys are really good in the Mardu matchup. And Gifted Aetherborn in particular is very good also in the mirror. So we audibled and we went with the Gifted Aetherborn.
I like
Death Touch
Aetherborn.
Lifelink is really good.
I mean, it's Vampire Nighthawk basically. It's better.
Right.
It's just strictly better.
Right.
Almost.
Um,
Missing Flying.
Missing Flying.
So 1 mana less Missing Flying.
Right.
Does that balance out? I think it does.
I think it does.
I think what Green Black's trying to do, I think it does.
Well, and
And
it doesn't say 2/3 for long.
very very true.
You've got Winding Constrictor, you've got Rishkar Pima Renegade.
Yeah.
If your turn sequence goes turn 1 Oath, turn 2 Gifted Aetherborn, turn 3 Rishkar, you are living the high life.
That is
You
true.
know,
I very much like it. I really like Sylvan Advocate. I think it's solid.
it's
I
a
mean,
good card.
I was sad when I saw it go. I think if you're playing Advocate, I almost want to be into Abzan, just because the
Yeah.
creature lands are just so powerful.
So
I really want to pull everything I can out of the
well, the big advantage to playing Advocate is it's easier on your colors because it's a green and a colorless, or excuse me, a green and a generic, and Vigilance, right?
Vigilance is big.
Vigilance is fine, but it effectively does the same thing as Lifelink, right? So Lifelink and Vigilance pretty much interchangeable. You're using it to block. The big advantage that it has, of course, is turning those Quagmires into 4/4s. How much do you value Quagmires into 4/4s versus blocking anything and killing it and gaining life?
Right.
And that's what it boils down to.
And I think it's a toss. I think it depends on what you expect to see. I think versus vehicles, I really like the Aetherborn versus vehicles.
So there's a
The lifelink is important because
It's
you're
very
putting
relevant.
the pressure on and
Yeah.
you're keeping up that race, but you're staying kind of even or ahead, hopefully.
there's a weird advantage to playing Advocate, and we acknowledged it and we decided to ignore it anyway. The weird advantage is if you play Rishkar and you put the counter on Advocate and Rishkar, you can then use Advocate to protect itself with Blossoming Defense because of the Vigilance,
Yes.
which is pretty big.
Yes.
On top of making it the 3/4, it's pretty big. In the end, we decided to go with the Aetherborn. We felt that the Lifelink Death Touch was far more valuable than the Q Tricks.
Makes sense.
So,
And I think, I mean, again, it comes down to that building for F&M, building for a
Right,
GP.
right.
For a GP, you don't really want the cute tricks.
Right.
I don't think they're going to get you there. For something like an F&M, something even like an IQ, PPTQ,
Mm-hmm.
the cute tricks, over 6 rounds that might win you a game or
Right.
a round, that's fine.
but the solid card is
Over
just
the
the solid
course
card.
of a hopefully 15, 18 round event,
Right.
you just want what's the best option here?
Right.
What's going to be the best in most situations?
Yep.
And while that cute trick is cool, while having my Quagmires be bigger is nice, Having my guy be a 4/5 instead of a 2/3 sometimes is nice. I think the 2/3 lifelink's better. I really do like that option.
Yeah.
So here we're going to see Blighted Fen.
Yeah, it looks like he's targeting Tony with Blighted Fen. He's also got a Fatal Push, so he can actually kill all of
So
the
his
things.
Fen's going to go away. He's going to Fatal Push that. Yeah, that's a solid option.
And he's doing this at end step, so he's trying to clear the board.
Right. And I mean, here we're going to see Blossoming Defense. He's playing this very smart. He's playing like a lot of people do against Infect. The ones who are experienced.
Yeah.
Take the damage, then play the cards that they're going to want to Blossoming Defense so they're not getting the extra 2 damage out of it.
Right.
That extra 2 damage can matter. He's at 8. He could be at 6 or 4.
Right.
And I think that's a really smart way to play this match.
So it looks like he's actually he's got a lot of pushes in hand, but push doesn't kill Tracker on its own.
That it does not. He needs something that he can get off the board. It looks like he doesn't have any clues. That's energy sitting down there. So he's going to need something here, which I don't know if he has anything. That Tracker might get a little big.
Yeah, there's no more lands in Tony's hand, but
That might be his saving grace here.
all
But,
Jareth
2
has-
swings is lethal.
still enough of a clock.
So looks like Jareth is looking to draw into
Anything.
anything that gets on and off the board, really, or some other removal spell would work as well.
Yeah, it looks like Tony's
I'm
hand has a
intrigued
lot
by
of
the
5
tracker.
drops.
Trackers, it's interesting. I mean, it's a solid card.
Yeah, yeah.
Some decks, some of the green blacks seem to have played it. Some kind of
Yeah.
shy away because it doesn't block well, and vehicles is a deck.
Right. So some of them are playing it in like a 2-2 split, so that they can kind of main deck a couple in case, and then bring in more against some of the control decks, some of the decks that they want to go long against. Tracker's always been a really solid card. I mean, since it came into the format, people have jammed it. It is a good card.
It is. It is very definitely a good card. So that's not a bad answer.
No, especially with fatal pushes to take out that constrictor.
So
That's a
it's gonna
huge
fatal push, get a zombie, and he basically just has to. He has a chump blocker. He can chump block, fatal push, kill your tracker. Mm-hmm. Or if it survives to next turn, he just pumps Kalidas and kills the tracker anyway. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's not a great option either way from Tony's side of the board.
No.
We might see blue-black kind of stabilize behind this a bit at 4 life.
Well, and in fact, if Tony's hand, he's got 6 cards in his hand, but if Tony's hand were air, that's a ruinous path. It looks like the promo ruinous path. That's a big draw.
Unless he has a blossoming defense, though, we're going to see him lose this tracker.
Yeah,
To fatal push.
and he's not even going to wait on it this time.
Nope. Just send it out before blocker. So if he has a blossoming defense, you can still block. And it seems like he's stabilized here. The green, we're not going to see any burn. He needs a couple removal spells maybe, but he seems to have stabilized pretty well. He's got a creature on the board. I think you can afford to swing. There's not really any hasted threats you expect.
No man lands on the table.
Yeah, swinging's fine.
Take 2.
Start that very long clock.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's all the control needs. It just needs a clock.
Yeah, doesn't matter what the clock is. That's a advocate.
Yep, that was an advocate. There's a ballista in Tony's hand as well.
Really badly needs a land here, though.
He's got 2 green hulks and an Ob Nixilis in his hand.
I mean, that land would be really nice. The Hulk probably wins him the game here, or pretty close. His opponent's only got 1 card, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Land off the top's a winner. And we see that a lot in these kind of like control, grindy type matches. The guy who gets mana screwed tends to win as long as he hits the land sometime.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he just has a handful of gas then his opponents maybe fought through it. Or
Kalidas was a great one
that's
off the
a
top.
beautiful pickup.
Yeah.
That's going to mean that, next turn Tony gets to make it a 3. That's not quite good enough.
Yeah, that's
That Kalidas off the top was nuts.
he's gonna make it a 3/3, and I wonder if we had the life totals wrong and Jareth was at 3.
We might have. We must have, because we just saw him scoop it up there.
Yeah.
I don't see what else he took damage from, but maybe we missed one.
I'm not sure. Well, let's come back into the booth.
So guess we missed the life total a little bit there,
I
but I thought he had stabilized it at the.
It looked really like he'd stabilized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I didn't expect the game to just end there. It's about 16 minutes left in the round. I was really hoping we'd get to see a little bit more of the game.
I mean, they did go to three though. I mean, that
Yeah.
game two though, that was just really.
Well,
That was Green Black doing the aggro
yeah,
thing.
yeah, and even this game, I mean, Tony played the side really well. You know, he put out a couple of threats. He leveraged his defenses with blossoming defense. He tried to keep a little bit of control as he was beating down. The problem was that the blue black control deck had a bunch of the removal. Of course, in the end, Ballista,
Ballista's a card.
all star.
It's a burn spell, man. It's a burn
It's
spell.
and it's funny because at some point you said green black doesn't have any burn.
Kinda, I guess.
Walking
does.
Ballista.
Yeah, I guess I'm wrong there. It does have burn.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's an 8 mana deal 3 damage, but I guess that's good enough
It's
sometimes.
good enough. Yeah.
So take a look here. Maybe we'll see if anybody's still playing.
Yeah.
We can, move somebody over. If not, we will bring you our fourth and final round in about 20 minutes.
20 minutes or so. Yep.
So let's go see what we can find. If not, we'll see you then.
All right. See you in a bit. All right, so we're back. We actually have a little bit more time left in this round, about 9 minutes left. So we've gone ahead and pulled over another match. This is going to be Steven on the right side. We saw him a little bit earlier with Mardu Vehicles. And then Kale on the left side, we saw him a little bit earlier with Grixis Tezzeret. So they're both going into game 3. Obviously, both of them going into game 3.
Well, one's in game 3, one's in game 2. He's a little ahead.
Yeah. Kale will be on the play. He lost the game 2. So we'll just shoot you right over there. They should be starting up.
If he can repeat his success against vehicles, because I believe he took it down pretty handily round 1. Even though we weren't really sure what he was playing.
Right.
He took it down.
Yeah.
I will say I did see a demon on the table last game. So
Right.
He is actually playing demon.
Yeah. And we saw Tezzeret earlier. We saw.
It's pretty standard Tezzeret.
It looks a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, it looks more like aggro, but it's not necessarily bad.
No. You know, it's something we haven't seen really yet.
At the worst, Tezzeret clears things out of the way for your aggressive guys to get through.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him beat Mardu. He's going to game 3 against it again, so it can't be terrible. Looks like they're just drawing their opening hands now, and we're going to see quick mulligans for both. Exciting. I think, like we said earlier, I think this still favors Mardu, but
Yeah. I think so.
with Kale being a little more aggressive than we first thought, it might be a little closer to even.
Scrap Heap Scrounger still has text,
It does.
and that says I can't block.
I mean, at the same time, Mardu, depending on their mulligan, they might just not get aggressive enough, and Kale might outrace it.
Right.
I mean, we saw that kind of happen earlier.
Well, and there's the possibility, that they're a little bit crunched on time now, so they might. We're in the territory of we've got to make this game fast, and that's when misplays happen, right?
That happens. I've done it.
Sure, absolutely.
You gotta. I think it was Chapin that's talked about that. He said, "I'd rather play fast and make a mistake here and there than not get the game done."
Right.
Which makes sense. In some cases, I'd rather have the chance to win it and happen to make a mistake than have no chance at all.
Right.
Makes sense.
So here we go, off to the races. Island into, oh gosh, is that Ornithopter? That's Ornithopter, right?
Oh my gosh, it is. We've got a Thopter.
That card, it's been printed for so many years.
In my deck.
It's
You guys
always.
have this too?
Let's not get started on
Right next to
Blutron.
my shields and my bone saws. It's four.
Well then.
We weren't.
Apparently, I was muted.
We didn't
Luke was having
expect
a
to be
conversation
back.
with himself.
Yeah, I was just talking to
Yeah,
myself.
we didn't expect to be back here, but Luke's just giving me some crap about Ornithopter. It's a 4 of in my deck.
Yeah,
right next
well.
to the bone saws and the shields, which you can put on the Ornithopter to make it better.
Clearly makes him standard playable, right? Clearly, yeah.
Absolutely. He's being played in standard right now.
So it looks like Kale missed his second land drop. That's not what you want to do against Mardu. You've stumbled.
Oh no, that is a big stumble.
Now you're going to take 5.
And I think Kale at this point, missing a second land drop, he might just be on the hope I can eke a draw out of this plan. I don't think he's going to outrace Mardu vehicles from this position. at all.
5 damage a turn is not something you can hope for a draw against. It's
Well, I mean, if he happens to find land, he removes the creatures.
Oh.
He might be okay.
I'm going to insult you by fragmentizing your Ornithopter.
When you fragmentize your opponent's Ornithopter, you're sending a message.
Clear message.
Very clear. And the message is, I think I just win this.
Yeah. See, so now this servo cannot block the 5/5.
This is true.
Sir, you're on a 3-turn clock, and I'm going to kill your Ornithopter.
Just to prove it. To prove the point.
We're gonna play Nerd Ape.
Seems good.
Um,
We're going to play. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is. Well, I'm glad we put this on camera.
get bodied.
Here's a lot of damage.
Now,
That
interesting
costs out 2
enough
turns.
that first motorist can't attack, unless it wants to die. It can, but he could double crew his Heart of Kirin
Yes.
and give it +2/+2 if he felt like it.
So it is a 2-turn clock.
It looks like he's actually swinging with it.
So we have
Maybe. I don't. I mean, he's pushing one forward. To me, that means it's attacking.
Seems like it, but maybe he's just explaining. I'm going to crew twice. They're both going to pump it. You're going to take 6. You're going to go to 9. I'm going to have a lot of power on the board, and this is over.
He did adjust his die to single digits, so that is actually what happened.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a heads-up play by Steven.
That's very good. I mean, it's absolutely that's probably not going to win this game.
Well, now next turn he can do some more damage. I mean,
he's gonna swing for 6 again, at the very least.
if Steven has an unlicensed disintegration, the game's already over.
Correct.
Right? He actually has released the gremlins, which is kind of funny in this spot.
Do you play it?
Oh, I love release. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I kill that servo faster than you can imagine.
He's already killed an Ornithopter, so he's not beyond it.
Well, look, at worst, it's a Manic Vandal, right? And Manic Vandal's a playable card. So,
I mean,
if he
Sure.
if he plays release,
there you go.
no, don't kill a schematic. Don't do that. You don't want to do that.
No,
Don't do
kill,
that.
Kill servo. Kill
Don't-
servo.
Don't do that.
We're both here rooting for this.
Oh,
We're rooting for the bad guy, man.
okay. He killed the servo. All right.
Okay, good. Gremlin.
No, I'm rooting for the gremlins. This one is for the tribe of gremlin. Crew the Heart of Kieran, swing with my 3
Swing
guys.
for a lot. Game's over.
Yeah.
But
Gremlins.
we fragmentized the Ornithopter and we got a Gremlin, so we win.
It's a moral victory.
It is.
It's a moral
It's
victory.
also an actual victory. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But the moral victory is the important part. So,
I'm happy now. I'm at
happy?
peace.
I'm surprised you're happy because of Mardu Vehicles deck 1.
We saw Fragmentize on an Ornithopter and release the gremlins on a servo token. How can you not be happy?
You have a point. I mean, that is a crucial key to victory.
And they still had a minute and a half left in the round.
They did.
So I believe we'll actually just take a break now. We'll wait a couple minutes.
We'll give it a few and
We'll be right
get our
back.
round 4 back on.
Yeah. So we'll be right back, everybody. All right, welcome back. So here we are, about to start round 4.
Final round of standard for the night.
So we had 3 undefeated players and 1 person with a draw. So we didn't want to put the 2 undefeated players on. They've already been on camera.
And these guys have not.
These guys have not. In fact, I don't know anything about them.
I do not.
I don't even know who they are. And that says something. I've been coming to this store for a year and a half, and I have no clue who these guys are.
No clue what they're on.
Nothing.
We're going to see some excitement here. Or it's going to be
Or
Mardu Vehicles again. And really
a mirror. Yeah, right? That's our luck.
Mardu Vehicles. I doubt that, given that one was a draw.
Yeah.
I don't see Mardu Vehicles drawing anything, but you never
It can
know.
happen.
It is true.
We're going to adjust our layout here real quick.
So,
So this is Ryan Sauter on the left and Kai Brown on the right. Again,
hope I'm saying that right.
we did get confirmation.
Kai?
It's Kai.
Kai?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Kai Brown.
Excellent.
So yeah, I don't actually know anything about him.
Let's see what they pick up for opening hands, and
Yeah, I mean,
fun name that deck challenge.
I'm kind of excited. It's been
bit.
a while since I didn't know what someone was playing or even didn't know who someone was. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see some.
all right, I'll look at the left. You look at the right.
Gotcha.
The left is off camera. So,
That's not helping you any. Mine's not much better, but I want to say. Wait.
Pummler on the right.
Yep.
The left
Say
is
energy.
the left is a blank.
It's the energy Angro, I guess, on the right. I'm not sure what colors yet.
We're gonna transition over here.
So we're gonna go with red green for now. Might be Jund. I've seen Jund energy aggro as well.
It could be.
I'm not sure. I did not get to see any lands. All we saw really was Pummeler. But that kind of says it's aggro.
It's aggro.
Energy
Yeah.
What do you think about that deck? Kind of flown under the radar. I mean, you haven't seen much of it.
No, and I think that's because it's very easy to disrupt. Despite it having Bristling Hydra and Blossoming Defense, there's a card in the format that was very heavily played up until this last couple weeks. Blessed Alliance really gives that deck a beating.
A lot of people kind of call it the standard infect.
Yeah.
I can see that, but it is much easier to disrupt than the infect deck.
Yes, very much so.
It's not as resilient, not as consistent necessarily. And I think that's part of why it hasn't seen as much play in the format.
Looks like we're gonna scry and keep on top.
See green black maybe.
Oh, that's a green black land. That's what that land is.
Is it the green black deck or something spicy?
I'm hoping for spicy.
Me too.
I'm not expecting it after seeing his and Quagmire, but
No,
nothing spicy
like
here.
We're gonna see green black.
yeah, green black. All right.
I mean, we are seeing the Sylvan Advocate again, which we talked about earlier. A little easier on the mana.
And here's the brawler. So we're starting the energy train. Choo choo.
Yes. We got I love seeing what people use for their energy counters. See a lot of Pokemon energy.
Mm-hmm.
We did see earlier the what was that RK Post?
RK Post. Yep.
Opposite the RK Post Clue, which he does some great tokens.
Actually, I think he lent that clue.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes
He
sense.
also had the RK Post Zombie, so
Yes.
he probably had the whole RK Post family of things.
Can't argue with that. He makes some great stuff.
Right.
Here we see just the standard energy. I actually don't have one yet. I have seen. I think. I don't know. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
This one is boring. I like the Pokemon ones.
Pokemon's fine.
So I like them because everybody can play their favorite flavor, right?
Uh-huh.
If you want fairy, you get the fairy. If you want the electric, you get the electric. There's a billion different foilings, so you could even look different from the other guy who's playing it. I like using the electric energy, but I did see a nice, I think it was a fairy energy on camera that had this like ripply foil effect. It was really, really cool looking. So
I've seen some creative ones too. I've seen the battery from the phone icon, the charging battery.
Yeah.
I like that. That's not bad. I don't know. I haven't really played the format that much. At least not anything that generates energy.
right.
So I haven't really had the need to use one. Usually it's just been a die kind of set off to the side for me. I haven't even had a token. But kind of like your favorite clue token. Everybody has a
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. Well, everyone has a favorite, but they're wrong if they're not the Avacyn's Angel with blood on it.
My favorite is the Emrakul with the Blues Clue paw on it, actually.
Okay, I'll accept your proposal.
That came out before Emrakul was official, and I had a friend who was using it, and it's wonderful. It was a silhouette of Emrakul with a Blue's Clue paw print on it, and it just said Clue, and yeah, obviously it was Emrakul. So we see here,
So we did Pummeler, built to smash, pump,
looks like it.
and now the game's over.
That's it.
Yeah.
So not overly exciting there.
I think we picked the wrong match.
Well, we may need to see a second one. We'll get another chance at this. I don't know. I mean, Black has the answers to beat this deck, depending on the Black build and his start. That start definitely was not a start that's going to beat this deck.
No.
There are starts that do. They do run, fatal pushes. They
Yeah.
do run removal spells, ballistas. They run that kind of stuff that can beat this deck. Whether it will, I don't know. I think this deck kind of preys on the black green a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's just another variation of the fast kill you deck, and this one gets the beautiful usage of pump spells with trample, and I'll make my guy really, really huge. And even if you block, I don't really care. I'm making a 30-30.
Right. Much unlike its modern brethren. Invec kind of folds to these mid-range decks. They run enough removal. I think it's kind of the opposite in this format,
Yeah.
where the mid-range just doesn't have a way to get its stable hold
Well-
and just close out the game.
And there's not enough good removal, right?
Right,
Like in
right,
standard, we're
absolutely.
playing Fatal Push and Grasp of Darkness and Murder, and Fatal Push doesn't kill a 3-drop unless you're holding onto an Evolving Wilds. Grasp of Darkness doesn't kill him when he's at 28-28.
Right.
And Murder, you don't live long enough to play, so it doesn't matter.
You don't get the lightning bolt.
Right.
Lightning bolt's the big one.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that.
Path is the
You don't
big
get
one.
Path. You don't get you don't get the better version of Fatal Push because you have fetch lands in the format.
Right.
Or Terminate or Abrupt Decay or I mean, when you look at the modern lists, they curve out at 2 when it comes to their removal.
Right.
The odd 3 of like Maelstrom Pulse. When you look at standard, it's like you've got Fatal Push at 1 that might get their thing. You've got Grasp at 2 that might get their thing, but if they pump through it, then you're SOL. And you've got Murder at 3 that probably will get their thing, but then you're spending 3 mana, so if they have 1 Blossoming Defense, you're probably just going to die here.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this deck kind of preys on the mid-range in standard
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah, I know from the control side, this is not a deck that I'm very scared by. I usually just sit back on to the slaughters. I play removal spells everywhere.
Right.
I'm not very afraid of a deck like this.
Definitely.
Here we go with opening hands for game 2. Yeah, I don't know. I used to really hate this deck when I was playing Blue White Flash in the previous format before the bannings. Nowadays, it's just it doesn't scare me.
Yeah. And it's another one of those decks that there's a certain way to play around it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to try and fight in combat.
Right.
You don't want their pump to be cancel your removal and pumping them.
Right, which is very similar to how you deal with Infect in Modern. You wait until their end step and you try to kill it.
And it's transitioned to. There's been a few decks recently. I mean, Atarka Red was the same thing. They ran Teamer Battle Rage.
Right.
And I generally had a very good matchup against that because of that playstyle of
Right.
I'm going to remove it on my turn or the end of your turn. I'm not going to give you the chance to make your pump do double duty.
Right.
And that's the big thing. You don't want their pump negating your spell and helping kill you.
Here's that Brawler again.
Yep.
Last game he fell into a hole.
He did.
So we'll see what happens this game.
I mean, we see the Snake come out. Snake's, I think, a little bit better start than Advocate is.
Mm-hmm.
Snake's kind of gets out of hand a little quicker.
Yeah.
It might allow him to sit behind a removal spell or 2 and then put this game away, especially now with the second one.
Missed his land drop though.
That's true. That is very true. And 3 is kind of the magic number for removal in this format.
All right, so we're gonna brawl. No energy spending.
Yep.
Got to save that energy for our Pummeler. Or our Long Tusk Cub.
That works too. I think we see Okay, we got our land drop. That's not a bad play with 2 snakes on the board.
2 mana, 3/3 shotgun, never a bad thing.
No, I think that's perfectly fine. And again, that's the snakes. I mean, they get out of control
Yeah.
quick.
Very sneaky snakes.
I mean, that ballista can get very out of control. I mean, next turn if he hits his land drop, that can become a 6/6.
Yeah.
And I think that almost puts the game away if that's the case.
Well, and it gets to just shoot things to death.
Exactly. I think if that makes its way to a 6/6, we get to see him swing with it and just start shotgunning down his opponent's board, and that's probably too much to deal with.
Right.
I don't think he needs another threat past 4th land drop untapped.
We're going to shoot your brawler. I don't want you to have the nice things.
Seems fine. Shoot your brawler, get some damage through, and
What are you going to do about it? Play another brawler. How about that?
I think our green-black player is in a pretty good position right now, actually.
I think so. Yeah, he's got the right amount of
Doesn't
pressure
wanna
and
miss the
answers.
land drop here. That's pretty crucial.
Well, if he hits his land drop right here, I'm pretty sure he wins the game.
Correct.
Unless Kai has a blossoming defense. If he hits the land drop, he wins the game. I'm pretty sure. Let's find out what happened. Oh,
Ooh.
tapped land, no
He hit
bueno.
the land drop, but not what he wanted.
Perhaps we should have
Another-
clarified.
Another ballista, though. That seems fine.
That's just as good.
Yep.
Second verse, same as the first.
I think we're going to see him probably shoot this out of the way and get through for some damage.
Well, why not, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Plan worked last turn.
Shoot it out of the way, swing through with everything. We'll put you to 11, and that might be all she wrote. We may actually get to see a game 3 here.
Yeah, I would imagine Kai is looking at his hand going, now what do I do?
And I mean, we talked about this deck getting preyed upon by the energy deck, but I mean,
It still has to have a
Ballista's
start.
So good. Ballista
Well,
is very good.
And the energy deck still has to have something to do, right?
I mean, you saw him miss a land drop. You saw him just land snakes, which aren't great on their own, but then snakes with ballista is just very good. And again, walking ballista is so good.
It's super good.
It's so versatile in so many situations. There's just, it's hard to say just how nuts this card really has become.
Add a counter to my guy. Oh, wait.
Add 3.
Add 3.
I'd like 3 of these.
Oh. Kai might respond with a burn spell.
Yeah. Oh, harness lightning. Okay.
That's good enough.
That will be enough to. So he will not get the energy here at
Right.
least, because the ballista is going to go away.
But he's going to be at 5.
But yeah, I mean, he gets swung down to 5 here.
You know, next turn he can add those 3 counters on Ballista.
Yep.
If Kai doesn't have 3 blockers, he's dead.
Correct.
He's just dead, and the game ends. How about a blocker in the form of Mr. Hydra Man?
And I think this just ends the game here.
Yeah, I mean, the game is just over.
So we're going to see game 3. On the back of a pair of snakes and a pair of ballistas.
Snakes and shotguns.
Yeah.
Sounds like Texas.
Seems fine.
It's a little bit tilting how all of the creatures are turned different directions.
Yeah, I noticed that one too.
Add a counter.
Oh, wait, add 3 counters.
Add 3
Because
counters.
Why not? Point to my snakes and realize how absurd it is.
Swing for game.
Yep, let's swing out.
Would you like to do anything about this attack, sir?
And, all right, well, you can block the ballista if you want. And you're still going to die. All right, well, for 4 damage, we're going to fling this at you for 4.
Now, if this is you, do you shotgun them all at once, or do you go, sir, take one? Sir, take one.
Yes.
Sir, take one.
Take 1, resolve. Take 1, resolve. Does it resolve? Yes. absolutely.
I suppose this probably makes us bad people. I'm okay with it, though. I'm
I
okay
can
with
live
it.
I mean,
You play them so that you can activate their abilities.
correct. And
So-
you want to activate that ability as many times as possible.
As many
That's how
times
win
you can.
games.
Yeah. So off we go to game 3.
We see him consult their sideboards again, maybe switch up a tiny bit. So there we saw. I mean, we saw green black. Just that the power of Snake Ballista is
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah,
And
even
sometimes they get those starts, even with a single Snake Ballista.
even missing a land drop.
Yep.
Miss a land drop, play a snake, play a 3/3 ballista, shotgun, shotgun, shotgun.
Yep. And it just, in that situation, Kai just really had nothing he could do to stop
Yeah.
it. I mean, he couldn't keep a creature on the board to do anything.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the infect deck, excuse me, what the red green energy aggro deck can do to even deal with that, right? Like if it doesn't get a board presence and it doesn't start being aggressive, there's no comeback mechanism for that deck, right?
No, there really isn't.
You are floor foot to the floor, pedal to the metal. There's not a comeback mechanic in that deck. It's are you dead? Are you dead? Are you dead? Okay, thanks for playing.
You really just gotta you gotta put out the creature. Go. Can you deal with this? If they can't, you kill them. If they can,
Right.
move to the next one and try it again.
Yep.
The problem I think is and also what makes Ballista just so absurd is it's answer to those creatures and it's a threat. So you have both there.
Right.
So now the energy deck is having to remove these threats before they get out of hands, and also still try and play their own. And I don't think it's capable of doing that.
Now, what do you think about the turn one Shadows land, reveal a land, say go, never use the mana? How do you feel about that line of play?
I'm not a fan.
I don't ever like revealing cards to my
There's-
opponent.
In a format with something like Lightning Bolt, something that I might do on turn one, Bolt the Bird, that's fine. I mean, I've been known to shock in Modern Go. Shock this land and go.
Right.
Leave up mana. If you're leaving up green red in a format that its only way to deal with is shock and there's not really any mana dorks, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Don't give away the information. Just play it tapped and say go. Your opponent's not going to think you're representing anything.
And you're not gaining anything.
No.
Like there's
No, not at all. Just
there's
play
no
it tapped.
tangible benefit.
I mean, you're giving away information. Yeah, it's a tiny bit, but
It's still information.
yep. I mean, when you draw and then don't play that forest because you drew a fast land or a shadows land, then you're giving away more.
Right. So here we see Sir Bristles, which is a perfect blocker for a Sylvan Advocate. A turn early because of the Servant of the Conduit.
I like it. It's a solid start.
Mr. Windy.
That snake. I did not notice that when the set first came out, but I think it's pretty absurd.
We
I did not notice the gets energy counter, so I liked. I mean, John
yeah.
energy aggro then I guess is a thing with that. That's it's absurd.
right.
I mean, the snake's good.
So we pretty obviously saw the hardened scales mode, right?
Yes.
As soon as the card was released, we went, "Ooh, hardened scales on a body. This is great." And you're right. A lot of people missed the energy piece.
Yes.
He is a really overpowered card for his mana cost. If you consider that you would pay a green mana for an enchantment for hardened scales, you're essentially paying black for a 2/3 that also boosts your energy counters.
Yep.
And that's a pretty darn good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts about the so I guess the hardened scales deck in Frontier is a thing, huh?
I mean, it already was. It was green white originally. It
No,
might be
it's
Abzan
Abzan
now.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Seems
guy is
fun.
really good.
Adding those counters on is not bad.
No.
It's definitely a thing. Still a format I have yet to really play much of. I just need to find people with decks.
Well,
You know.
normally I would say, hey, there's a monthly event coming up, which there is. Our February monthly is Frontier. Unfortunately, you're usually judging them.
Yes.
So,
So I will probably not be playing in that event.
Yeah.
But it does seem like an interesting format. It seems kind of like I've heard it referred to as like a Brewer's Paradise, which it seems like it kind of is.
yeah.
There's not. It's a little more forgiving towards brews than Modern Age. You don't have the abrupt decay. You don't have the burn deck in the format, or in fact that's going to punish you for not doing anything by turn 3.
Right.
You still want to be doing things, obviously, but you also have really good mana. You have the fetch lands. You have the battle lands and so on. fast lands. So there's a decent mana base. You can build 4-color pretty easily. You're not getting punished with Graveyard Hate or Blood Moon or any of
Right.
that kind of stuff either. So I do see a lot of people very excited about brewing in the format. I think it's sweet. I think we're going to see some of the standard superstar type decks, and we're also going
Yeah.
to see some interesting brews.
I'm a fan of people brewing their decks because I play the jerk, and I'm okay playing the fun police. I feel like while Rally was in the format in standard, there were only two answers for it. Right? There was Cranial Archive and there was Cletus, and I guess Anafenza was in there too for a little while.
And offense is the thing.
And it kept the deck a little bit more in check in standard. In Frontier, there are a million answers. There's still those three, but there's also Tormod's Crypt. There's the 2/1 flyer that stops enter the battlefield triggers.
Yes,
Wingmare, Fryn Wingmare.
Yep, absolutely. Torpor Orb on the body.
Yeah, Torpor Orb on a dude. There's so many good answers to even the jerkiest of decks.
But being the fun police, people got to pack those answers.
Absolutely, and
you're
I
making
force
sure
them
that
to.
happens.
Yeah, I force them to because you have to, right?
I mean, to be fair, the deck that I have looked at building for it, should I do so, is going to be Jeskai Ascendancy combo. I do like that, I got to play that deck for a bit in the format, and I like that you get to kind of bring back a deck that you really love. The cards aren't overly expensive. I really loved the Ascendancy combo. It gets some new pieces.
Right.
It gets Cryptolith Right, which is just bonkers.
Yes.
In that deck. A lot of people are excited about prospects like getting to, Gearhulk into a Dig Through Time, which is pretty absurd. I've seen a lot of people excited about the format. It is not a terrible format. Seems fine.
So here we see the Blossoming Defense on Sylvan Advocate. I wonder if the red-green energy deck has another offensive play. It doesn't look like it. So
Does not.
looks like he's just going to deal 4. Now he's in that bad board state again of having nothing on board.
No threat. He has 8 card. His opponent has plenty of stuff out. This isn't a great spot for this energy deck.
And again, we see Rishkar with Winding Constrictor here have 2/2. Make some big doofuses, right?
And this green-black deck has kind of evolved into this.
Yeah.
This aggro, counters, matter, hardened scales type list. And, it obviously it puts up good results. It's just, if you get that snake, the snake is what it seems like one of the big key parts of this deck.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of people saw. I think a lot of people went like Grimflayer, Triad, some of that kind of stuff from the previous format. But snake is really just such a big key.
So there's a 4-mana burn spell, kill your Bristling Hydra, which is perfectly acceptable when they're out of energy. Here we go, swing for 10. Take 10. Kai really on the ropes again. It just seems to me like he ran out of gas.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, he played out his threats, didn't quite get the threats he was wanting, or they just got stymied here, and doesn't seem like much else is going to happen from his side of the table. He's got a couple cards in hand, but, he doesn't seem to be putting up much of a fight right now.
Yeah, so lands and a useless spell. Again, there's a Verdurous Gearhulk ready to end the game.
Yeah, that's the game ender there with that Constrictor on the board. That Gearhulk's pretty brutal.
So we just see the energy deck drawn no gas. So it looks like Ryan wins this one.
You see Gearhulk drop 12 power on the board for 5 mana. Seems pretty good.
Seems pretty good.
So
We'll come back over here to the booth.
Pop back over to the booth here. That did take a lot less than maybe we expected, so we can meander around briefly here and see if we can maybe throw something else on camera for you guys for our last round.
Yep.
Kind of go out with a bang.
I believe we have about 20 to 25 minutes, so we'll see if we can hunt down a deck.
Let's see what we can find.
Either way, one of us will be back on camera to let you know what's happening.
Yeah, we'll be back shortly.
All right, welcome back. So we just did some quick scouting and happened to find a game just ending in game one. So we're about to go to game two. On the right side is going to be Brittany Green. No idea what she's playing. Didn't get to see the
Not a
decks.
clue.
On the left, we've got Jesse Coles. No clue what he's playing either.
Nope.
So
So we're going to get to see something.
something.
Another one of these matches where I'm not overly familiar with either of the players. I see them around every once in a while, but I don't really play against them much, see what they're playing often.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know Brittany. She's a very nice lady. Fun fact: she does taekwondo. I only mention that because my daughter does taekwondo, and we saw her pictures, and we were like, "Oh my gosh!"
So can't really tell, but I thought I saw a Quagmire on her side. I might be wrong, though.
On the
looks
left,
like,
I see a long Tuscubbin and a tune with ether, so some
like,
kind of green energy deck.
Green Energy and on Jesse's side. Looks like he took a mulligan there. I think that's a Quagmire on the top of her hand, but I can't quite tell.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
leaning
quite sure.
Like it's going to help.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah, that's
Welcome to
definitely
the
a
booth,
Quagmire
my
on her.
friend.
That is a definitely a Quagmire on her side, so we may see some green-black here. May see the same match again, or similar. So, looks like he has decided to keep his hand. So what do you think of the giant D20?
I love the giant
I have
D20.
a pair
Yeah,
of them, and I love them.
I love those
I love
things.
the thud they make when you set them on the table.
Yeah. Now, I'm not a fan of using them to track live totals.
I've done it for like casual games. I don't really
Right. I do it for casual games, but
anything a tournament. Pen and paper is the way to go. Obviously, I'm a big proponent because if you bump the table, it doesn't get
Yeah.
screwed up. Being a judge, especially, it's one of those things that I
yeah.
very much recommend to people all the time. Get
Yeah.
pen and paper. It's not expensive.
Right.
It's whatever paper you got, doesn't matter. You can take notes, so on and so forth. But the D20s are great. They're fun.
Yeah.
The giant
yeah.
ones are awesome. I have been known to ask people if they would like to roll them to see who goes first. It's usually entertaining.
Sir,
Nice
those
thud
are not
across the table.
randomized. They're
They're
not. They're not
But if you both
randomized.
roll it, it's not random. Roll two of them at once. That's a little better.
So we saw Jesse miss his second land drop.
I see him a tune here. Go, I guess, find his
Third.
third on turn.
So this is turn 3. He's not going to get to play that forest.
Yeah, and it cost him an energy to do it. Not a great way to start that off. But
He still nets 2, which is fine.
Brittany's not really doing much from the other side yet.
Right.
She didn't have that 2-drop start, so there is that. We saw her kind of traverse. So he's not overly far behind. It's
No,
not like the start
no.
we saw with Snake Ballista.
Right.
Speaking of,
Speaking of the Sneaky Snake. I'm a big fan of Sneaky Snake.
he's so good. Can we work him into Modern somehow?
I'm sure somewhere someone's trying.
Oh, somebody's trying to work every card into that for me.
There's a downside, though, right? There's a downside to the Snake in Modern. If you run across that Infect player, you get an extra counter if you take
are
Infect damage.
You are correct. That is a downside. Turns that 9 into a 10.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Not that I would expect to see that very often, but,
Kind of want to do that now. Really want to throw off his math, make him kill me by extra.
Here we go. Here's a Shotgun Ballista on 1 counter, +1 from the Constrictor. Getting shocked immediately. I didn't see Brittany use the counters, so I'm guessing she just let it die.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Cub getting pushed immediately. Sir, we don't like any of those shenanigans.
No, there will not be a cub. Oh, wait, maybe there will be a cub. Yes, there will still be a cub.
I honestly don't even know what that card is. Is that a negate?
That, I believe, is the new art for negate.
Oh, there was art in Aether Revolt, wasn't there?
Aether Revolt was, had a negate.
So I would imagine that's only in Aether Revolt because they expected Zendikar block to rotate out with Amonkhet, and they wanted it to remain in the format. So there are actually 2 different printings of Negate legal for the next 6 months.
There were before, though, weren't there?
Nope. The previous one was in Origins, which rotated out, and so it was printed in the last set with Origins, which was Zendikar block.
Right. But the previous format, we had multiple negates at one point in the format, I thought.
No.
I might be wrong.
They've actually been pretty good. The longest time they do it is for that 3 months where the last set is active
Yeah.
before the other sets rotate out.
3 months with a lot
Yeah.
of cards in the format.
Yeah.
Where you don't really want to brew because stuff's going away, but you kind of want to play something spicy because there's a lot of cards.
Right.
And, oh yeah, that's a great 3 months. We see another Ballista.
This time he's a 3/3.
It's not a bad play.
I mean, you can't go wrong with shotguns, right?
That is very true. She's gonna take the damage here. Note that she's keeping track of that right on the screen.
It's handy. It's handy. It's hidden by the overlay, but there is a white die on the bottom of the screen that I believe is Jesse's life total.
Yes. Looks to be. It is dwarfed in size by the blue die. It is Brittany's life
Hey,
total.
size doesn't matter,
That
sir.
is important. That is very crucial.
All right, another shotgun. So that's the 3rd shotgun.
We are just seeing every Ballista from her side of the table.
What do you think about a 4-mana 3/3 shotgun? That's still pretty good, right? That's above rate.
I think it's fine. Perfectly fine. I mean, I'm fine with the 4-mana 2/2 shotgun, so why
Yeah.
would the 3 be bad? I think we see here probably maybe would have left a black mana out because Fatal Push is a card.
Yeah, represent Fatal Push.
I mean, even if you're not representing it, it should be a good habit to get into. I mean, then you don't forget and go, oh, hey, I wanted to Fatal Push that. Oops.
Now, maybe she wanted to leave a Blossoming Defense.
That's true, but I think she has a Quagmire hiding in there.
And how do you feel about the full art Zendikar swamps along with the non-full art basic
love
forests?
It. I think it's great. I will say one of my favorites to play if I'm not playing a foil is the original Zendikar non-full arts
Okay.
because they are hard to find, and not many people know they exist.
Yeah, the ones out of the it was a
The Pat Packs, I believe, correct?
was the Fat Packs
I think so.
or the Precon decks?
One or the
One or the other.
One
Yeah,
or the other had non-full art versions of it. You
Yeah.
can find them still.
they're hard to find.
Yeah, they absolutely are. They're a little different. I like going for something a little different.
Here we go. Here comes a Gear Hulk dropping
Oh,
12
jeez.
power.
Flat. Now, do you put one each, or do you just
Oh, yeah.
pump the ballistas
No,
hard?
you absolutely put one on each.
I believe struggling not to run out of dice here.
Yeah, no, that is the right play.
Yeah, that I agree. I mean, a case could be made for maybe not pumping the snake, but I think you're fine. Just pump everything.
Yeah.
Make your board as massive as possible.
Make a wall.
I mean, you have 2 5/5 shotguns that they're not getting through. This game seems to possibly be over.
Harness
So we're going to see
lightning.
this Harness Lightning. I think he's doing that on the stack, or is he just spending more energy?
Looks like
hard to
he's
tell.
just spending 5 energy.
That seems like a misplay. I guess you get rid of the extra 1 counter, but I think you're fine with that getting thrown somewhere else, and you save 2 energy. You want the energy.
You got rid of her 4/5, but you let the other 6 power through.
Right.
And 4 of that went on to
I
ballistas.
think you keep the energy and let her throw another counter on one of the ballistas is probably a better option.
Yeah.
If you're going to win this game, you're going to have a lot of energy to do it.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure. I'm not a judge. When you have to split an effect like that, I know you have to declare targets. Do you have to declare the splits as well?
Not until it resolves.
Not till it resolves.
So you would what will happen is you have to declare one or more targets when you put the effect on the stack. If you say declare 3 targets and they invalidate one of them, you then get to split how you like among the remaining
Okay.
2. You do not declare the split until you actually resolve the.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty important piece.
It is. And it comes up in obviously situations like that. It's also, it means that the downside being you can't just declare everything a target. You have to put at least one counter on each.
Right.
If it's still a relevant target when it resolves. So you can't just say I'm going to declare everything and only put it on this one creature just to make sure you can't remove it
Right.
to stop. But from the opposite side, it does mean that if you do declare all 4 creatures, then they put up a little bit tougher place.
Right.
Kind of. It does mean as well that if I have a second creature on the board with a Gearhulk, I'm probably declaring both just to see what my opponent does.
Yeah.
I don't want to get my Gearhulk. I don't want to lose all my counters just because they had a removal spell.
Looks like Gearhulk's going to slide on over to the Hydra. Trade my Hydra for your Gearhulk. Okay.
I think Brittany's perfectly happy with that. Now to note, she is down to 7. That is relevant. If he's just trying to squeeze some damage through, he does, I think, play Shocks, maybe? I'm not actually sure if his list will have Shock or anything like that in it.
I would imagine it does.
But I mean, if he's just trying to squeeze some damage through, he might be able to pull that off here.
Well, and
he
something
has-
to note, though, is those shotguns can pretty much wipe his board at any moment, right?
The other issue is those shotguns right now just represent 10 damage to his face. So if she squeezes 1 through, the game just ends,
Right.
which is important. 'Cause
Well,
it looks like she may just do that.
She
this
just
turn.
killed blockers. He's
This
at
turn
15.
Pretty much just ends it. I mean, she's going to swing through here, and then she can just fling them both at him. She's going to push those both into the red zone and one at you. And I think that will end this match here.
So I think she's saying after combat damage, and he's saying, well, wait, hold on. I might do something.
Yeah. I don't know that there's anything he really can do here. Looks like his hand, he has an Arlen cord. Yeah, that'll be the end of that one. So again, we see the power of Snake Ballista. Gearhulk. It's just... there's a reason this green-black deck is good.
Right.
And, I mean, throwing multiple counters, paying 5 mana for 12 power, that's pretty absurd.
Well, on top of the synergies it already has, Rishkar into Winding Constrictor is already just a good setup.
Yeah.
Adding Ballista to, on top of it, getting counters plus and plus and plus. Throwing in a Gearhulk.
I mean, Gearhulk, when you look at Gearhulk, 5 mana for an 8/8 Trampler is already a great rate.
Yeah.
When you look at like Ballista, the abilities, it's already good. You don't have to get the extra counters.
Right.
I think the glue that kind of holds it all together, you look at Rishkar, he's already decent, even without the extras. But the snake just kind of pushes it over
Yeah,
the edge.
yeah.
It really does. And when they land that snake and you let it sit on the board, I think that's the key to this deck, honestly, is kill the snake.
It's very
Snake has to
unassuming.
die.
It's just a 2/3 for 2. Now it's strong, but it just looks so weak when it's there all by itself.
Right. And,
But it's not.
I think it follows the same lines as Bolt the Bird. You got to get the snake off the board
Yeah.
before they get any value out of it.
Right.
Once they start getting the value out of it, it just kind of cascades into more and more, and you're
Yeah.
really not going to be able to stop them.
It's definitely a waterfall.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Well, I think we're going to call it the end there. I'm starting to see a lot of people milling around, which usually means their matches are done. I think we had a lot of good Magic today. We saw Mardu vehicles a couple of times. We saw some copycat.
We saw
Green
some
black, of course.
pretty good span of the metagame. We did see the two energy aggro decks on camera here. We got to see kind of black green really do its thing.
Right.
And we got to see it kind of on both sides of the table too. We
Yeah.
got to see it play the control and play the aggro match.
Yep.
And it does that both pretty well.
Yep.
I'm very happy we got to see some blue-black control on camera.
Yes,
I know you are
definitely.
too.
Yeah.
That's I mean, seeing a real, a true control deck is very nice.
Yeah. Well, with that, I guess we'll bid you all a good night. In case you're a frequent watcher here, we do have game day here tomorrow and tomorrow and Sunday.
Yes.
I know we have plans to stream it. I'm not sure who's going to be in the booth. I will not be here.
I'm not sure. I don't believe I will be here either.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
It may be a stream with no commentary. We may just have some Magic to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I know a lot of the folks are out of town that they normally would be jumping in the booth or helping out with the stream or playing in Pittsburgh trying to jam that deck you helped them build.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, after that, on the 18th is Grand Prix Baltimore.
Yes. Star City Baltimore.
Star City Baltimore.
The team event coming up, so I know there won't be much going on around here. Everybody's pretty much headed to Baltimore. I know.
Yeah.
I believe Al Central has 2 teams going. Or
Three that I'm aware of.
So,
Yeah.
See some of the Al Central guys maybe make it onto camera and maybe make some decks really popular. Or
That'd be pretty
or
cool.
really unpopular, as
Yeah.
the case may be.
And then
Tune in for that, and
the week following that, we've got a double event weekend on Saturday. I believe it's a PPTQ, although now I'm blanking on where it's for. I don't have my
might
sheet
be
in front of
GP,
me.
Actually,
I do know
I'm
we
not
have a
100%
Saturday
sure
event.
on that one. The
Yeah.
Saturday, the Sunday, however,
Sunday is Frontier.
that'll
so
be exciting.
That will be very exciting. I will be in the booth for both of those days, and I'm very much looking
I will
forward to
probably
Frontier.
be on the other side of the camera judging for Frontier for sure.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. I mean, if somebody's covering it, then maybe I'll hop in the booth. But
Right. And then, of course, our normal schedule's restarting this week. We'll have a couple of guys here playing Eternal and Hearthstone. I'll be playing Pokemon. I think on Tuesday night is my schedule night. We've got our Win-A-Boxes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We might throw on camera at some point. Thursday night Frontier, Friday night Magic. So plenty of stuff. Keep an eye on the stream. Hit the follow button. Check the links down below the stream. But other than that, I think we're going to call it a night.
So it's been fun hanging out with you guys. Watch some good Magic, and I will hopefully see you next Friday. I know Luke will be
I'll be here.
here.
Yeah,
So,
I'll be here. I'm going to try to play, though.
try to play.
We're going to try to rotate some other commentators in the booth.
Get
So
out of the booth and get out. Well, maybe we'll put you on camera.
you know,
We'll watch you.
got to play a little bit.
We'll watch you.
play a
We'll
little
watch you on camera.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
We'll see.
So with that, good night, everybody. Hope to see
night.
you again.
Thanks for coming out.